The college football experience MAC conference preview breakdown for 2024 and Notre Dame's episode 4. The Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US based and available in 40 different states. Head to cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use that promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100 times the amount of money you enter in college hoops, MLB, NHL, NBA. You better believe college football when that comes back around and more. Sign up today using the promo code TCESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
Hey, folks, this is Bud Foster. You're listening to SGPN. Let's let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Maction. Yes, the Mid-American Conference, youtube.com/the college experience. This is the MAC 2024 schedule breakdown, as well as Notre Dame. I was going to do Independence, and I realized we already did UMass and UConn. So did Notre Dame move to the MAC? Pretty much. They have two MAC opponents on their schedule, and that you know Notre Dame. They I guess last year's schedule was tough, but they still kind of. Well, we'll talk about it.
Not always a guaranteed win when they play the MAC either.
Toledo should have won the other year. Toledo should have won 32-29. I think it was. Oh God. Should have won that game. They're up majority of the second half. Folks, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price, but no one touches Dundee.
What a conference. They got UMass joining, not this year, next year.
Waited with bated breath on that one.
And that's where the big bucks come in. All right. UMass, Buffalo, it's going to be a heated rivalry again. I do have just a soft spot for the MAC. Basketball, football. They deliver, in my opinion.
The rivalry weekday conference.
Yes, and rivalries that are like over 110 years old. I feel like a lot of them are old as shit. It's underrated. It's underrated, undervalued, underappreciated. That's how you know the real ones. If they watch Maction, then you know the real ones.
Well, guilty as potentially a fraud here, because as much as I want it, and as much as everything you said is true, long-time rivalries in the cradle of football, Ohio, everything should be great about the MAC. And maybe now that there's this expanded playoff, the MAC has that access that has always been lacking for them.
They'll never.
They won't put them in, but you can always hope. Yeah, every once in a while, the MAC is the highest rated group of 5. So
Western Michigan, but they needed everyone else to lose twice. So
it was a special year.
Unfortunately,
special years can happen, and the MAC's going to take advantage.
True, but this is why the 12 team's still bullshit. You got to have automatic qualifiers. I am joined by my co-host. He was just talking right there about Maction. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh, up.
Let's get it going, buddy. It was a Jack Lambert. He was in the MAC. John Offerdahl. Huh? You got Rodney
Roethlisberger.
Harrison, Jason Taylor, Victor Green. Remember Victor Green, old safety for the Jets.
A lot of talent coming out of the MAC.
Yeah, Mac has been doing it for a long fucking time. Nick Saban came out of the MAC. All right. Everyone wants to give him his best coach ever bullshit. You know what I mean? He came out of the MAC. All right. Came out of the MAC. We're also joined by a third man in the booth. He knows a thing or two about MAC shit because he's up there in Kalamazoo. I feel like every twice a year, maybe. Give it up for the DFS god himself, the rooftop IPA drinking, home brew making, tobacco road living, the free lock giving, former heard the basketball league MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's up, guys?
What the Watt? No, not both Watts. One of the Watts.
JJ was Iowa.
JJ, no, was Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, Wisconsin.
And he was previously Western Michigan.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Did he? Really?
Antonio Brown, Maction. I mean, it goes deep. It goes deep. I'm just forgetting some of them right now. But
No love for
Alfred
Big Ben.
Alfred Dahl was a good pull.
there.
Charlie Fry.
Hey.
Don't forget about Charlie Fry.
I mean,
Yeah.
couple Steelers like to hit the action and maybe make some Hall of Fame players out of them.
Now the problem is I feel like if you're really good in the MAC, you just transfer to another school.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's the downside of this portal thing. But I tend to think the MAC, they're one of the ones. I know they're adding UMass, but I'm saying like UMass was previously in the conference, but they're one of the ones that stayed put. The whole world's changing around. The house is, everyone's like, college football's burning down, and the MAC is just standing in the fucking room, smoking their cigarette, drinking their beer. You know what I mean?
The funny thing is that the teams aren't really that. I mean, nobody's looking to sign up Buffalo or any of the Ohio schools or the Michigan directionals. So they're not all that appealing to other conferences. But what they have is a nice tight knit group of teams that only goes through, like 5 or 6 states, maybe, if that. I mean, it's Ohio and Michigan centric. But yeah, they've been playing football against each other for a long time. They've owned, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights. Maction is a lot of fun. Come on.
They were, and like you said, to jump in, they were the originators. I remember being like a probably 1993 or 94, watching Toledo with Wasan Tate on a Thursday night with a friend of ours, who was also named Nick. And we're just they were the originators back then. You didn't get that many games on TV. Now I will say the SEC used to play a little more Thursday night games. I remember South Carolina and Vandy on frequently, but in general, the MAC has always just got a good chunk of my heart. I feel like the true heartbeat of college football, the MAC has a decent
claim to that.
I agree.
Decent claim to that. I think some of it is also because of those rivalries being so low. So, I mean, like I said, if you're not watching YouTube.com right here, I-75 rivalry, shout out to, this was a gift. And
that's pretty sweet.
Toledo has
I think, tide turning. As I remember,
elbow.
I was raised in the desert, but tides kind of turn.
Toledo has a rocket on their campus, basically set up to go to the Bowling Green 50-yard line. I mean, how great is that? That is college, and they haven't fucked that up. There's no way in 10 years that's going to be there, right? They're gonna take it away and say,
10 years. Give it 3 years.
Yeah, give it 3 months, Colby.
Let me ask you this. Okay. All the tradition, all the, Letterman's jackets, this, that, the other, that makes the MAC a classic conference. What about the on-field product makes the MAC a special conference? Competition, obviously.
They all play outdoors, so you always get elements. I love that. You always get the elements, but yeah, I mean, it changes. It changes. Certain teams, have I guess it depends. It doesn't. You have a lot of the same styles, I would say.
Yeah, And I would say I know that the divisions are now a thing of the past. There's no more MAC East and MAC West, but the MAC, especially the MAC West, it was, I mean, worst to first to worst every year. Like you had it was really hard to kind of predict which team was going to be at the top of that division. The MAC East was a little bit like that, but some of the programs were a little bit more stable, being good or bad. But I thought the MAC was fun because it was a coin flip.
Every game, that's what I'm saying. When you sign up to watch a game, you want to see, for the most part. Now I know some of those Akron teams or Kent State teams were fucking horrible, or Bowling Green, but I think you just get compelling football. Like the matchups, you get like a 44-41, crazy,
a lot of points,
a lot of points, and also like crazy comebacks. But even back in the day, I felt that. And then, we shouldn't just mention Western Michigan. Northern Illinois did make the Orange Bowl one year with Jordan Lynch. I think Jordan Lynch was the name of the quarterback. And they've had some giant wins.
Or did they got rolled?
No, they got beat down by Florida State, but they were undefeated, I believe, coming into that, if memory serves me correct.
Yeah, I think you're right. They are good for some upsets. Who is it that beat Oklahoma State the other year?
Central Michigan.
Central Michigan, that's right.
I mean, Northern Illinois won in Tuscaloosa in the early 2000s. They've had. I mean, Northern Illinois gets up and beats a lot of teams. They beat Georgia Tech recently, Maryland.
Nebraska.
Last
year,
yeah.
Ohio beat Iowa State last year, right?
Yeah,
Cincinnati, or Miami, Ohio beat Cincinnati. I guess that's.
Yeah, I think Georgia Tech's lost to MAC schools in back-to-back years, if I'm not mistaken. They at least lost to Northern Illinois 2 years ago. Did they lose one?
Yeah, no. Northern Illinois beat Georgia Tech 22-21 on a 2-point conversion, I believe. But Northwestern, I feel like, gets owned by the MAC. I feel like Northwestern gets fucked up by the MAC. Some of their better years, when Fitzgerald was like 9-3, 10-2, they have a loss to like Akron or something, or Miami, Ohio or something. But
I remember Western Michigan beat Pitt when Pitt won like 11 games or something.
Won the won the ACC, but lost at home to Western Michigan. Fucking insane.
I would say that the upsets are probably one of the more, compelling things that the MAC provides. But within the conference, it's just hard because if you're looking for big stakes, what is the
that's not the MAC's fault.
It's not the MAC's fault.
That's the system's fault.
But yeah, maybe the system relegates the MAC to not being something where you can have that element to your conference. You don't play in these massive in-conference games that have national
That's
implications.
The charade of college football. As much as I love it, that's I don't put that on the MAC. To me,
but to Patty C's point, I think the MAC has been the worst conference or the second to worst conference pretty much most of their existence.
I'll push back a little bit here. They had an awesome run in the 2000s.
Yeah.
When they were really, really fucking good. Like they might have been the top group of 5 at that time. But they lost a lot of their coaches. Urban Meyer was dominating in the MAC with Bowling Green. They also had a bunch of other coaches that went elsewhere. But and they had Marshall in there too for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that helped. But when they had Leftwich, I think Leftwich was in the MAC. That was like they were fucking teams up. I remember they went to Kansas State and won. Marshall did, I think, when they were in the MAC. But also just in general, they had big wins for, I would say, like a 7 or 8 year window. The MAC was a really, really good mid-major. Now they have lost that, and they had a hard time keeping coaches in their spots. Brian Kelly came from the MAC. You know what I mean? Like
that's not just like a MAC thing. I think that's all the small conferences have a hard time keeping.
But it's harder today than it was 30 years ago or 20 years ago. When we first started getting into college football, these coaches would stay a lot longer at mid majors. Now they just chase the dollar. Everyone's out there chasing the fucking dollar.
Sean Lewis left to be a coordinator. I mean, I guess that's becoming a more common thing now.
But some of that is on the way Kent State schedules. Like as we dive into these schedules
every fucking year.
As we dive into these schedules, there's a clear, like, I can see like Toledo cares about their chances to win the MAC.
Yeah.
And they care to feel a good product. There's a couple teams that it's like, you're giving them like they're like on suicide watch. You know what I mean? Like it's, what are you doing here? Akron spends the money to bring in Joe Moorhead, which is a home run hire, but they schedule insane.
Kent State did. Was it Kent State last year that had Who'd they have? That was
One win. Kenny Burns.
No, maybe it was a couple years. Someone had Washington, Georgia.
That was every year. Every year is ridiculous.
It was Kent State was that was with Sean Lewis, I think 2 years ago.
Okay.
Kentavis in the chat. Shout out to Kentavis. Iowa State was robbed against Ohio. They were. That field goal was good. It should have went to overtime. I completely agree. That needs to be investigated. Everyone's investigating the Iowa State players. I want to investigate those refs that just said, no, it's no good. I'm like, what are you talking? Everyone watching that game was like, no, that field goal is good. What are you
It's about time the little guys got the right end of the whistle. Okay. So
yeah, that'll be happening a lot more often.
So yes, Kent State in 2022, they started the year at Washington, at Oklahoma, and then they played Long Island, and then they played at Georgia. So I mean,
Island, it's even more hilarious that Long Island's thrown in there, right?
You're three of your first four games at Washington, at Oklahoma, at Georgia. You're just crossing the whole country, playing top 10 teams.
I mean, three of those teams have played for a national championship in the past. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and they actually played some of the teams decently. Like,
they played Georgia well, man. They
lost to Georgia 39-22. Pretty good,
dude. They actually, I think, this is 2 years ago, but if I remember correctly, like yards per play, I felt like they towards the end of Georgia's season, you look back and Kent State was like one of the better outings, which that's one of the reasons why I was high on Sean Lewis. I was like, damn, he's going up against like all these first round draft picks. And they're moving the ball pretty damn efficiently, better than a lot of the other SEC schools. Now, maybe that was Georgia not just thinking it's Kent State, but whatever. The numbers speak for something.
Well, you have a point there too, and you mentioned it earlier that they do produce, cutting edge coaches and up and coming coaches that are always getting picked off, and obviously, like you say, Saban go on to great things. So cutting edge, X's and O's is one thing they provide.
You know why? Because they have to do more with less to be that good.
Yeah.
It's not like they're getting equal talent or an equal schedule or something. They have to be that much better of a coach in order to field successful seasons.
Yeah.
I just love how the chat is talking about Quinn Early used to walk my grandma to the bus stop every day. I don't know how we brought this up. Shout out to Quinn Early. I think he's a stunt double here in LA. Really? Former Iowa Hawkeye wideout and San Diego Charger and New York Jet. Buffalo Bill, I think. Yeah.
I think he might have been on my fantasy team a couple years ago back in the mid 90s.
Yeah. Shout out to Quinn Early. But let's get into this because I think it's a lot of fun.
Quick,
What's that?
One more thing. All that said, the MAC has been denied access, but to me, and it's kind of like the NCAA tournament where, the high seeds win, but the nature of the NCAA tournament is you haven't seen these teams against each other necessarily from these different conferences, and that's why that definitely has to happen in the NCAA tournament because you can't project who's really good when they've played one game, cross conference, there's just too much variability. But the MAC, I guess it provides that, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just got parity, and if you understand that that's what you're watching, like the NCAA tournament, it's like you push the dominoes over and it's a slight margin here and a slight margin there that ends up creating a win for one team and a win for the other.
If we had auto bids, so you see all their best players leave now. You saw it with this past season. Some of the best players,
Devontae Walker,
Rourke dipped out to Indiana.
Okay, just this offseason. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like now with this new system where it's like they're a farm league, it sucks.
Carson Steele, Colin Schlee.
Yeah.
It makes the QB, DeQuan Finn goes to Baylor. Yeah. So to me, like if they had an auto bid, you're still not going to be able to keep all of those guys. But if you have an auto bid, you know what that does? That creates more fan interest.
Yeah,
your alumni get more excited
around. Yeah.
And then with that, it's A plus B equals C. When your alumni get excited, they donate money to your school. You get an NIL collective. They own businesses, right? And then you might be able to keep the Quanfin. Maybe you lose a couple guys, but you keep one or two.
That door is just slightly cracked now. That's what the 12-team playoff is.
It's ridiculous.
Slightly cracks that door.
Thought monopolies were illegal in this damn country. All right?
I didn't know we were doing algebra on this
What's
podcast.
going on here? I thought monopolies were illegal in this damn place. Folks.
Please no trigonometry, okay?
Is that the new offense that Chuck Amato's running? Folks, I want to tell you that you're listening to the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. All right. And this is the college football experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And look, SGPN is home to 20 plus gambling podcasts. All are completely free. This week's featured show is the MLB Gambling Podcast. Baseball is back. I just cashed on a Orioles money line, come from behind and win against the Royals. And look, baseball's back. And so is the MLB Gambling Podcast. So check them out. All right. The MLB crew is dropping daily episodes with free picks. So check out the MLB Gambling Podcast. If you aren't subscribed already, subscribe to the MLB Gambling Podcast. What are you waiting for? Play ball. All right. Let's jump into this, man. I had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, one of the funny things that you mentioned about coaches coming and going and the MAC losing coaches, only one coaching change this offseason. Buffalo.
But I think that speaks to your and another one. Lance Leipold obviously is a another great coach that left. But Matt Campbell. We can go on and on and on about how many great coaches come out of this conference, but that probably speaks to the fact that they were down. NC Nick, because if they're up, the current
was a MAC guy, right? At one point.
No,
he's an Ohio guy.
He was. Yeah, I think Stoops. They might have played. No, Bob Stoops played at Iowa, I think, but I think his brother played at Youngstown. No, but obviously Saban, Urban Meyer, Brian Kelly and his family, Matt Campbell, PJ Fleck. You know, yeah, Frank Solich was a legendary coach who stayed the course after the Nebraska shit. They fired him for going 9-3. He's like, I just want to find the MAC. They need to hire more coaches like that.
There you go.
And they're like, you know what? Fuck all this. I want to be in the MAC. I don't want another destination. All right.
But just to finish my thought there. So Maurice Linguist gone. In for Buffalo is Pete Lembo, who was the South Carolina special teams coordinator.
Nobody goes into Lembo Field there in Buffalo, New York and gets a dog.
If you're a special teams coordinator for a Beamer.
Yeah. That's right. Maybe you're onto something there.
That's true. And that was late in the hiring cycle, though. That was real. But dude, we'll talk a little Buffalo Bowl football in a second. But let's get to the action. The Akron Zips and NC Nick. Did you have this? How did you rank? Like, did you say like Ohio and Toledo are on a level higher than everybody else, or what'd you do?
So it's definitely Ohio and Toledo, but I kind of threw Miami of Ohio in there also, just because of their conference record last year, 7-1. They played in the championship game, and they have coaching continuity. Yes, they've lost some players, but that's the debate. I mean, is it really just Toledo and Ohio, or do you also want to slip Miami of Ohio in that upper tier?
That is a good debate.
They won the championship game.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Moorhead had turned down the offensive coordinator position at Miami, right? To stay at Akron a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to bring this guy in, you can't schedule this stupid.
Yeah.
You cannot schedule this stupid. I understand your university needs to make money, but give the guy, look at Toledo. Toledo doesn't do 3 Power 5s in the non-con. You broke motherfuckers. You'll never be good. You'll never be good if you schedule like this. And then you come into, so if you're not watching on YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience, their first 2 weeks at Ohio State and at Rutgers. I know they once beat Rutgers. That will not happen this year because Shiano's got that thing going.
Yeah.
A little bit. They're going to be 0-2, and then they get Colgate. The Raiders. And then week 4, they go. Speaking of Beamer, they go to Columbia, South Carolina. And then 2 back-to-back away out of the first 5 weeks. 2 sets of back-to-back away. They have a third set later. But at South Carolina, and then, you go right into action, go into Athens to take on Tim Albin's Bobcats. They're going to be 1-4. There's no way they're not 1-4. And I feel sorry for Joe Moorhead because I do think, he hasn't got the wins the first 2 years, but God damn it, they've been knocking on the door for a long time. They've been in all these games. They're clearly better than they were 3 years ago when they were losing 50 fucking points every game. They're in a lot of these games. I've watched a bunch of them, and they've been actually, I was on the over on Akron last year, and that didn't hit. But oh my God, they shit themselves. They're in like 70% of their games, and they just find ways to lose. And that normally happens. What's that?
Among those first 4 road games, do you think they'll be in any of those?
Maybe the Ohio game, but I don't know. It's such a beatdown after the other ones. It's like Ohio's in a perfect spot because it's like, think about the wear and tear to your roster.
Yeah.
You don't have depth at Akron. You don't have depth at Akron. You're just going to get your ass whooped.
Or almost.
I guess to be fair, Ohio has at Kentucky the week before that, but they're leading up to it. It's nowhere near the same strength of schedule. So I do think they might be able to hang around there, especially with Ohio having a new quarterback and some roster turnover there. But I'd be hard pressed to give Akron a W. I mean, Ohio is usually one of the best teams, and they're on the road, and they're very good in Athens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're 1-4, and then even worse is to me, you would hope to get 2 home games after that. You get home to Bowling Green. I mean, Leffler's been recruiting well there. They haven't necessarily been winning. But
they've been winning more than Akron.
Yes. And then you got to go right back to the road and to Kalamazoo to fucking Watto's liquor pitchers. You know what I mean? No, you're going to be
5 road games in the first 7 weeks without any prize.
Yeah. No one does that in college football. That's what I'm saying. Give your team a fucking chance. Give your team a little bit of a chance. I understand you want to get the paycheck too. Well, schedule an Ohio State. Even schedule a Rutgers. Don't put that South Carolina game there. Replace that. Replace that with
completely demoralized by midseason, if not injured completely. Yeah.
I think if you're a MAC school that is trying to get some paychecks, but do two P4s, do an FCS, and then do one other G5 where you have a shot at potentially winning it.
Exactly. Take on ULM or North Texas or something. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Good God.
Even Kennesaw or something. Have it a lower tier FBS team.
Yeah, talk to the Big Ten, get them to buy into the SEC scheduling model, and get one of those payday games in November instead of having them all in September.
Well,
and I'm not a fan of MAC versus SEC because there's no regionality. At Ohio State, at Rutgers, beautiful, perfect. I think MAC should be playing Big Ten opponents for the most part.
Yeah, or Big 12.
Sure,
like Iowa State or Cincinnati.
Yeah. Yep.
Even Kansas State, I think, would be cool, or Kansas.
ACC, they work. That works.
Pitt, Louisville. But I mean, so if you're not watching this on the screen here, week 1 at Ohio State, week 2 at Rutgers, week 3 home to Colgate, week 4 at South Carolina, week 5 at Ohio, week 6 home to Bowling Green, week 7 at Western Michigan. Then they get a bye week. Whew. Then home to Eastern Michigan, then home to Buffalo. Nice little stretch here. Then another bye week. I think you'd rather have that bye week before South Carolina personally, but then week 12 at the Cobb. This is the second end of the back-to-back. Then you get the wagon wheel rivalry, Akron at Kent State, which look, Kent State is a very winnable game, but to get it dealt to you on the second end of a back-to-back away, and then you end the season. Yeah. And then you end the season. Yeah. Then you end the season with Toledo. I mean, Joe Moorhead, I hope you stay the long haul. You already deserve a lifetime contract just because you turned down Miami. But, and I know what's that?
What's best case scenario here? 4-8. That would be winning 2 more games than last year.
So what? Winnable games: Colgate, Bowling Green. I mean, I guess Western Michigan's winnable, but I don't think they will. But
probably not.
Yeah, I would say Colgate, Bowling Green, EMU, Buffalo is 4, and Kent State 5. Best case scenario 5 and 7, right?
I mean, if they start off 0-7, they're not going to get rid of Moorhead, but they could start off 0-7. No, I'm sorry, 1-6. They got
Colgate.
Give them Colgate. They'll be 1-6 is a very realistic possibility.
How do you see? Was it Colgate that upset JMU right before they went to the
they're not a terrible FBS season. Why do you got to bring up the toothpaste? That's unfortunate. Hey, well, okay. So the 1-3 non-conference slate is pretty much a guarantee. Now, within conference, I guess that's really what, is what they judge their season on. Is there any chance that this is a good schedule for them? A bye week before Eastern
because
Michigan?
they get Toledo. They also, like, to me, the road spots, like Kent State's the most winnable game on their entire schedule in the FBS, not Colgate. If you take out Colgate, they got to go on the second end of the back-to-back away to Kent, their rival. At the Colb is a fucking L normally. At Western Michigan, well, I was impressed with Lance Taylor in year one in Kalamazoo.
Mhm.
And to me, it's you want now. I guess you get Buffalo, but you get Buffalo week 10, where that first year coach, they might have the team a little figured out by then. But
if everything broke right and he does a hell of a coaching job, I could even see 5-3 in conference. But I still don't think that would be good enough for a berth in the conference championship game. I think it's more likely to be like 3-5 in conference.
Yeah.
And just a tough year again for Akron.
Yep. I had it ranked as second hardest, just like you, Colby.
Yeah. And folks, if you're watching on YouTube, bottom left-hand corner, by the helmet is where I rank the hardest schedules in the MAC. Let's move along to the Ball State Cardinals. Patty C's boys.
Look at that logo in the middle.
Why
do you not love that?
Why do you have a bye week 1? This is almost as bad as Akron. You negate yourself. Like, everyone's got 2 bye weeks. By you doing this, you fucking morons. You basically then you have 1 bye week in 14 weeks. Everyone else is going to have 2. Everyone that you're playing is going to have 2.
Doesn't make much sense.
Not only does it waste your bye week, it actually makes games, 2, 3, and 4 harder because you have 1 less game of experience. You have less live bullets to work out the kinks. You just start
it's
yourself.
Truly moronic.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to get some game film on Missouri State for their week 2 opponent.
Well, they do. Missouri State does play Montana week 1, so they will be tested. Montana, look, an athletic director should be fired, in my opinion, for a week 1 bye week.
This schedule's all kinds of screwed up.
3 straight road games.
Yes.
So you come out of the bye week, you take on Missouri State, not a horrible FCS team. Not a great FCS either. They're kind of middle of the pack. Bobby Road Rash face Bobby Petrino had it going a little bit before he left for A&M, for UNLV, then A&M a week later, and now he's at Arkansas. But 3 straight road games. So week 1 bye week, week 2 home to Missouri State, week 3 at Coral Gables. 7 people will be at that game, taking on the Hurricanes. Then week 4 you get.
If it was in Coral Gables, then it might be a hostile environment. But they play in Miami Gardens now, which, like you mentioned, 7 people will be there. So maybe give them a little chance in that Miami game.
Oh yeah.
Well, remember a MAC opponent played at Miami, Florida last year was Miami of Ohio, and some of us thought that maybe they could cover, maybe they could pull off an upset, and it just wasn't happening.
No, they got their shit pushed in.
Yikes.
Week 4 though at Central Michigan, so you get. Going to Mount Pleasant in between at Miami and at James Madison. Now, I do think they can upset the Dukes in the Patty C Bowl.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so either. They might be 0-4. Like, Missouri State's capable of beating them. I think that's a close game. I'll favor Ball State.
Yeah.
But not by much. Ball State by -5. You know what I mean? Like, it's not by that much. I mean, the Missouri State plays in the Missouri Valley with North Dakota State,
4-7
South Dakota
last
State.
year.
Yeah, but the
maybe
year before,
if
they were FCS
Road
playoffs.
Rash face was still at Missouri State, maybe you could talk me into an upset, but I don't think.
Yeah, unlikely. They'll get upset there. So at least they'll start 1-0, but then the trouble starts.
I don't feel, like I said, that will be a short line. I'll give it to Ball State, but I don't think I think you can argue the Missouri Valley is better than the MAC. So it's like you're 4-7, but you're in the Missouri Valley. Youngstown State, South Dakota State, North Dakota State, Southern Illinois. 4-7 is not horrible. That's like the SEC of the fucking FCS.
It's true.
Still
in Muncie, got to give it to Ball State.
Then week 6, you're home to Western Michigan. Then at Kent State, you like to see that. Then hey, week 8, let's go play Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, the construction zone. Random. And then week 9, home to Northern Illinois. Then you get a bye week. Then week 10, home to the Miami, Ohio Redskins. Then week 12 at Buffalo. Week 13, home to Bowling Green. Week 14 at Ohio. So look, there's no Toledo on this schedule. So you're happy in that regard.
And they get Kent State, which is a positive, even though it's on the road.
Yeah. But I mean, Mike News going to be fired here, right?
7 true road games. I mean, and one of your home games is an FCS. So against FBS competition, you have 4 home games and 7 road games. It's dying for the paycheck, you know?
Yeah. And that coach is going to get fired.
Yeah. Last year, their first 2 games were at Kentucky and at Georgia. So if anything, this is a little bit lighter than last year.
Fair. And I like Mike New. He played at Ball State. I remember him playing at Ball State, but I mean, okay, what are the winnable games here? Missouri State, I don't think they're going to win at Central Michigan. So I think those are all 3 losses. I mean, I guess Western Michigan and Kent State are winnable. Shit, I mean, Vanderbilt did lose to UNLV, but UNLV turned out to be somewhat decent a year ago. So I'm going to chalk up the Vanderbilt one as a loss. But I think Kent State and Buffalo on the road are winnable.
For sure.
This team could go bowling.
It's possible, just because most of these MAC games are winnable because Ball State's like decent, you know.
4-8 last year, not great, but usually.
But they're still like in games though, Patty C. You know, it's not like that Bowling Green team a couple years ago when they're losing like 65-4 every fucking game.
That's true.
Central Michigan, Western Michigan, Kent State, NIU, Buffalo, Bowling Green, all winnable. Now, chances are they'll probably go 3-3 or 2-4 in them. In those 6, but this is the MAC. Teams emerge and have special seasons almost out of nowhere, so it's possible.
Then shout out to our boy Carson Steele, been on the show, hell of a good guy.
Anytime you have 5 road games in a 6-week period, and a six calendar week period, that is poor scheduling. It's a bad schedule. It's not helping them.
True.
Yeah. Shout out to Benedict Dantle. Says I got to put my notifications back on. Love the football talk. Let's go, Benedict.
The legend.
Yeah. Let's jump on over. But before I do that, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S. based and available in 40 different states. P2P social betting is a new way to bet. Bet directly against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop cultures, or other events with verifiable outcomes. Plus, they got a ton of fun social features that give it a feel of a betting social network, so to speak. And Cut offers lower vig and fully customizable odds. You can create your own bets. And Cut handles the payment side of things, so you never have to chase anyone down in the streets for dollars. Social features include group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, and much, much more. So download the Cut app today or head over to cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use that promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. I really think Underdog Fantasy is like one of our, we've had a lot of sponsors over the years. Short of we had like Miller Lite or Coors Light at one point. That was great because, you know, I've been drinking their product for about 40 fucking years. But I really buy into, I love it when you get, you know, an ad that you think is an amazing product. Now I like all the products, right? But Underdog Fantasy is awesome. If you haven't checked it out, you need to. Because what you can essentially do on there, like take for tomorrow's the NIT, right? And we got you know, Indiana State taking on Seton Hall at Hinkle Fieldhouse, which is to me where, you know, we're watching the college basketball Final Four going on in that bullshit arena where the Cardinals play in Scottsdale or Phoenix. Why does the NIT have it put together better? The national play the Final Four at Hinkle Fieldhouse. The place got some soul, some history to it. That would be awesome. But yeah, Indiana State, Seton Hall tomorrow night, NIT championship. Both teams should have been in the NCAA tournament. And
you got Larry Blurred, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Indiana State in Hinkle Fieldhouse. It's glorious.
Salt Frazier.
Well, speaking of underdog, I mean, you threw it out. I think it was the college football pod, or maybe it was college basketball pod about his higher or lower points in the semifinal. I think it was at like 16 or 17. And me and you went over. And what did he do?
He killed it, man.
He had like what did he have? Like,
dude, he's so nasty.
Points or something.
He's so nasty. I hope he comes back. I know in the NIL era, maybe a big school pays for it, but once again, higher, lower 17.5 points. I think the higher, even though I know Seton Hall's a much better defensive team, they got some athletes, that can line up and give them I think a better matchup from a defensive standpoint. But still, I like that. I also I'm on the DJ Burns higher than 3 assists as well. I think DJ Burns, the key to them winning or at least staying in that game, is making DJ Burns play a little point forward action and pass the ball and bring out Zach Edey. Bring him out. Make him feel uncomfortable a little bit. Come on, Kevin Keats. I know you were a former Rick Pitino assistant, but that's some of the great things that you can do over at Underdog Fantasy. Pick whether your favorite player has a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. You can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. The more players you add, the better the odds are, obviously. Sign up today with the promo code TCESGPN and get your first deposit doubled up to $100 as well as the instant pick'em special. So what are you doing, folks? Visit UnderdogFantasy.com. Find them in the App Store. Don't forget to register with the promo code TCESGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100 as well as the instant pick'em special. All right, we are back. Jeff Sharp saying, I'm on the Sycamores, man. I'm laying it. I love Shaheen Holloway. I love Seton Hall. And I do think their defense, it's going to be a different type game than that Utah game. But I just think that
it's not going to be 100-90.
Yeah, I don't like it's going to be like 65-60 or something. But the fact that Terre Haute's an hour away, that place was rocking the other night. All those Sycamore fans came up there. They love Salt Frazier. They love that this team, dude. The way the whole team is so unselfish. It's a fucking fun team to watch. But I love the Pirates too at the same time. East Carolina Pirates and the Seton Hall Pirates.
Two teams that
any kind of Pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Pirates, you're right there with that one. Look, both these teams feel they have a very legitimate claim to the
should be in. Should have been in.
Yeah, so
I mean, Seton Hall beat UConn by double digits. No one's done that. What?
All right, let's get back to the MAC.
What's going on here? The committee was treating them like they were in the MAC in college football.
I thought Akron got a bad game, a bad matchup against Creighton. I thought Akron could have won a first-round matchup or maybe even 2 games if they got the right draw, but no such luck.
Yeah, haters. All right, let's talk about Scotty Loeffler's Bowling Green Falcons. Patty, see, you love Loeffler.
By the way, Bowling Green,
a little bit.
Bowling Green is a team that beat Georgia Tech last year, 38-27. I knew Georgia Tech had lost 2 straight years to MAC opponents. I just forgot who it was. It was Bowling Green.
Yeah, I mean, Bowling Green, Loeffler last year was this year they should be a lot better because 2 years ago they were good or somewhat good. They made a bowl. Last year that they lost the most production in the nation, I believe. And this year, the way he's been recruiting, which, I put an asterisk next to that because I don't know that I believe the recruiting rankings of the MAC, let alone any recruiting rankings. But I'll tell you this, nothing like at Penn State and at Texas A&M on your schedule.
At least it's not 3 Power 5 road trips.
Yeah. So the schedule, week 1, home to Fordham. Watch out. Tim DeMorat's gone, but they could score points. Fordham, who did Fordham beat a couple years ago? They beat a MAC school. Might have been 2. They beat 2 MAC schools. I think they beat 2 MAC schools over the past couple of years. Watch out for those Fordham Rams, Vince Lombardi, and that energy still alive there in the Bronx. Week 2 at Penn State. Week 3 they get a bye. Week 4 at College Station taking on Texas A&M. Week 5 home to Old Dominion. Week 6, see, this is a nice little stretch here. If they can get Old Dominion, then you get at Akron, then home to Northern Illinois, home to Kent State. You could really be If you like, I think Old Dominion is going to beat them, but I'm just saying, if they get Old Dominion at home, you could really be, 5-2 going into that
to Toledo. Yeah.
The Battle of I-75.
5-2 for Bowling Green out the gate with, obviously road trips to Penn State and A&M being guaranteed losses. Scott Leffler would have proven that he was the right hire. Scott Leffler is so far safe for the 2020 COVID season where they went 0-5. His 4 other seasons, 3-9, 4-8, 6-7, 7-6. The trajectory
He's building
is pointing,
something.
Yeah, a little bit.
By the way, Fordham beat Buffalo last year.
Well, I don't get.
I want to say the year before they threw for like 600 yards against Ohio.
Okay.
Like when Demorat and both those wideouts that Demorat didn't. I think he was on the Redskins for like a second last year, but didn't make it. I look at this schedule. You hate the road trips of Penn State and Texas A&M, but within the conference, okay, you got the Battle of I-75, which is wacky. That's a wacky game. A lot of times Bowling Green can win in Toledo or vice versa. At Akron is winnable. At Central Michigan's winnable. At Ball State's winnable. It's a kind road schedule in conference. Out of conference, it's insane.
No back-to-back aways though. Speaking of road games, that's
yeah. Yeah, I still had it as the third hardest schedule because of Penn State and A&M.
I had it fifth hardest.
Okay. Well, to me, like you have to play Toledo at Toledo. You have Penn State, Texas A&M, and Toledo all on the road. That was my logic in ranking it third hardest, but you can probably sell me on it. Maybe I should
get Kent State and Akron, and like I said, no back-to-back aways, and they have 2 paycheck games, but the other 2 games are winnable.
True.
I think this schedule is manageable. I'm surprised. I mean, obviously you have to take into account the non-conference Penn State and A&M games as part of this, how difficult the schedule is. But in terms of like managing it and maybe making the MAC championship game, I think it's pretty manageable.
Hey, last year they finished the regular season 5-1. The one loss by 1 point to Toledo.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Played Minnesota.
It's that Battle of I-75. It delivers every time, folks. College football is the best. That's what I'm saying. Like you got, look, it's such a fucked up system, but it's still amazing because you get the Battle of I-75. You get shit like that. That's what makes the sport so great. Imagine if they actually had some structure.
Let me ask you this: Texas A&M coming off a road trip to Florida. Bowling Green has a bye before that game. No, not happening.
No, I'm sold on Elko. Sold.
They have a good coach now, Penn. That might be the difference.
If it was before, maybe.
Still 3 games in, maybe. I think
Sam
got some tricks up his sleeve.
Sam Houston was down 10-0 at half in like their first game in the FBS to Texas A&M, and I was like, this is crazy. Only Jimbo Fisher. Now they still end up winning 31-0, but it was just 10-0 at half. You're like, no fucking way. Yeah. I mean, maybe I think now that you bring it up, guys, there's no back-to-back away. Maybe I misranked this game or this schedule. I think maybe it probably deserves to be 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th. Yeah.
Though. You weren't too far off.
Let's jump on over and talk about them Buffalo Bulls. Why is Buffalo not better? We see the way Bills Mafia are. They're fans. They're excited. They're throwing dildos out there. See the way the Buffalo fucking Sabres, they Buffalo wants to root for sport.
Give the Bulls some love. Come on.
Yeah.
I was talking to College Football Campus Tour about this, and he's like, well, the stadium's on the outskirts of the town. But this should be like, when I think about college football and how college football, you can succeed in obscure places, whether it's Tuscaloosa, Alabama, whether it's Lincoln, Nebraska, whether it's Boise, Idaho. This city should, like, they're not, I don't know how it hasn't taken off, but I feel like it should.
It's a pro town.
Yeah.
New York,
not to mention
pro state.
What's that?
But I think upstate New York's a little different.
What about the University of Buffalo? Is it a large university? I mean, is it obviously it's a state university. You would think it's a pretty good size.
It's supposedly like the co-state flagship. with I think obviously Syracuse. I could be mistaken on that, but I'm pretty sure Buffalo is considered.
30,000 people go here, Nick.
That's a large. Yeah, what is the problem here? Can't we fucking pack that stadium?
I heard it's on the outskirts of the town, but
whatever. Catch an Uber.
Yeah, well,
is it on campus?
As far as I know, but
even if the city doesn't fully support it, the 30,000 students should.
It doesn't make a lot of sense because they had an arena football that they supported really well. That's what I'm saying. It seems like wherever you throw a sports team there, they're fucking excited about it. Why? It just something's up. Clearly, there's got to be a disconnect between I don't know, the school and the city. I don't fucking know, but I know that it doesn't make sense.
They've only recently jumped up, right? I mean,
that was like 20 years ago now, though.
Yeah, maybe it's just taking a little longer. They made the big jump, and
Leipold had them like playing for MAC championships. They should have got more behind that, in my opinion.
Yeah, they let a good one get away, but that was bound to happen. Now they just maybe Lindquist wasn't the right hire, and they're about to continue on that upward trajectory.
I don't know. I just feel like they're selling themselves short. The non-con though, week 1, they're home to Lafayette, the Leopards. Week 2 at Missouri. Week 3, home to UMass. Week 4 at Northern Illinois, and then a back-to-back away as they take on friend of the program, Jim Mora, and the UConn Huskies. I know that Northern Illinois is not a non-con game, but I threw it in there because it's sandwiched in between UMass and UConn, which is always a nice thing to see on your schedule. What do you guys make of that? I thought beautiful. I know they lose Lindquist, and I know he was on the hot seat and Alabama, but Pete Lembo coming into, I know he arrived late, and I don't want to set crazy expectations for him, but the stadium is apparently 20 minutes away from downtown. Still, you're in Buffalo. What the fuck else are you doing? All right.
So Pete Lembo does have head coaching experience. Lehigh, Elon, Ball State as recently as 2015. Then obviously a few years as associate head coaches at various stops. But back in the full-on head coaching position, I don't know a lot about the guy. Previous stops, I guess, at Ball State and Elon, pretty successful. So maybe.
Another thing that is concerning to me, or like, by the way, I just realized I had this shit on the wrong side. Was like you want to talk about a team that could leave the MAC long term if they got their shit together from an athletic department. That enrollment's fucking gigantic. Why? It's just puzzling. It's puzzling why they're this bad. That non-con though, I have this as the easiest schedule in the whole MAC. Nick, where'd you have this?
Second easiest.
I just think I get it at Missouri. Missouri looked really good last year. They beat Ohio State in the bowl game. I still think if that's your only Power 5 in the non-con, great scheduling. Yeah, Lafayette's a win. UMass should probably be a win. I don't know. UMass is kind of 50-50 because
a lot of MAC schools also have 3 road trips non-con. Buffalo's 2-2, so they've given the new coach a nice schedule.
Yeah.
Road trips to Ohio and NIU could be tough in conference, but the road trips to Akron and Eastern Michigan manageable. So if they're 6-2, that puts them maybe in position to be in the conference championship at the end of it all.
In conference, getting Ohio and Toledo is pretty tough, but on the flip side, they get Kent State and Akron, the 2 worst teams.
I even think getting Ball State and getting that game at home too is great.
Sure.
I don't know. I think they could make a bowl. When I look at it, I'm like Lafayette, UMass, UConn. Those are 3 winnable games. I think they probably lose the UConn game, but Lafayette and UMass, they actually should be favored in probably. Then Toledo and Western Michigan. Toledo always drops one to a random. They always drop one to a random, I feel like.
I mean, but the schedule's here to make a bowl. The question is the team or the coach there to make the bowl? That remains to be seen.
Yeah. Either way, I thought this was a great first year schedule, and I was surprised Lindquist. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be that surprised because Alabama, like they hire offense coordinators, defense coordinators from Alabama to be head coaches elsewhere. But I still thought this was a good year for him to not get fired based on the schedule.
Yeah.
All right, folks, let's hop on over to the next one here. The chips, fire up chips. This, last year's schedule was fucking brutal. I liked that team last year. I think they were better than their record, in my opinion.
I think it's a disappointing year. I thought McElwain was going to do better last year.
I think this could be the year. I know he has 2 sets of back-to-back away games, but the schedule's nice. You get Central Connecticut State, the real Blue Devils, coming in week 1. Then they're at the airport, which is certainly winnable in Miami against Mike McIntyre. Then week 3, you get Brett Bielema. And then your other non-con game is Sean Lewis and San Diego State. Actually, you're going to go 2-2, maybe even 1-3, because I think Mike McIntyre is capable of. Good Lord,
what happened over there?
Good Lord.
Oh, the old beer explosion, huh?
What the hell? It's the whole beer. Good Lord.
Wasn't it just sitting there for an hour while we talked action?
This is the college experience.
Yeah. Welcome to the college experience. Look, I got them starting off 3-2. I got them starting off 3-2. And then they got a bye week 6, and they're home to Ohio week 7, then at Eastern Michigan week 8, at Miami, Ohio week 9. So back-to-back away there. Then week 10, they get a bye week 11. They are home to Bowling Green week 12 at Toledo. Week 13, Battle of the Cannon against their rivals, Western Michigan. Then week 14 at Northern Illinois. I'll say this: the back end of the schedule is fucking brutal for the MAC, but I think they really could open. Like, it wouldn't even surprise me if they ended up, I don't know, 5 wins by the second bye week. So you're thinking, hey, they're contenders. I just think that's a tough stretch down the stretch though. With
here's my problem with the schedule. I think it's the toughest in-conference schedule in the whole MAC. They get Ohio, Miami of Ohio, and Toledo, all 3 toughest teams. 2 of them on the road, and there's no Kent State or no Akron. Fair. So I think, there's not every game is going to be a battle. There's definitely not any gimmies in conference. Granted, their out of conference is on the nicer side of all the teams in the MAC. So I had it tougher than you. I had it ranked 8th. As far as getting to a MAC championship game, I do think their in-conference schedule's too difficult.
I don't know.
Central Michigan, I feel like, has been one of the more talented and usually successful teams. Obviously, last year the bottom of the division, 5-7, is still respectable, but not what you'd normally expect out of Central Michigan. McElwain, 8-6, 9.
He's on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat this year, man.
Yeah, two non-bowling seasons in a row. We expected more out of him over the last few years.
They fired John Bonamigo, and he was making bowl games, and he just had one shitty year. And they fired Bonamigo. I just think that name is amazing.
Is this the easiest out of conference slate in the whole MAC? I'd say either probably them or Tulane.
This is the easiest because Illinois on the road is not that long of a trip, and they usually don't produce great quarterback play, which allows a team to stay in the game with them.
I thought Buffalo's was easier.
Buffalo gets at Mizzou. That's a guaranteed loss. You can win at Illinois.
True, but I also think San Diego State's going to be really good this year.
Yeah, but they kind of get him early on in September. Still, he still might be working out those kinks.
I think you're right that the teams that care, the teams that fancy themselves potential winners of the MAC, don't do multiple road Power 5 games.
That's what I'm saying. It's hilarious to watch. You got to be deep in the matrix, but we're there, and it's like each year you're just like, okay, Kent State, okay, Akron. Do you want to try? Do you fucking want to try to win?
I know Jeff in the chat says Illinois will crush them. Let me remind you, at home last year, Illinois beat Toledo by 2.
Oh,
in
no,
game,
they should have lost that fucking game.
Grant Toledo.
My God.
Toledo's better than Central Michigan, but also they only beat FAU by 6 at home also. So the Fighting Illini struggled with
FAU was 5-7. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the quarterback position at Illinois? I feel like it's changing every year. I don't have it on the off the top of my head.
The SMU transfers there.
Mordecai.
Yeah, Mordecai.
He's pretty good. So maybe that's a pretty safe win for
Jeff
Illinois.
says Toledo should have won. No, they should have. They really were up the entire fucking game. They truly shit the bed. I had a buddy that was at that game. Yeah.
San Diego State new coach. San
Diego State's gonna smoke them, dude.
In Mount Pleasant.
Yes.
I guess it's still in September, so
weather
won't be an issue.
Sean Lewis went to Kent State when they were awful the year before, and he turned them in to a high-powered offense. San Diego State's always had the defense and the special teams. All they needed was a little ball movement. They made the right hire. They made the fucking right hire.
It's a good hire. I just think you're putting in a new system. You're in your 5th game.
They were running air raid last year, though, so I don't think it's that big of a.
Sure, you favor San Diego State, but
they weren't running it well.
Yeah,
I mean, in Mount Pleasant, maybe Central Michigan's got a chance, and at that point, you have a 4-1 start.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they could also lose to Mike McIntyre. I don't feel great about that game. I would favor the Chips, but
yeah, basement probably 2-3 at best, 4-1. 3-2. I don't know. Anyway, that's not a unbeatable or impossible.
No, I think it's a favorable schedule. I think if it ain't gonna get any easier, McElwain. You have a great year. You win the MAC this year. They extend you. Ooh. You fucking retire. You end up in Mackinac Island eating fucking fudge. You know what I mean? You're gonna just win this year. All right. All right. I got a couple more to talk about before we go to break, but what to tell you, the college football experience is brought to you by Manscaped. This episode is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions, Manscaped, and their Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Yeah, this season, make sure to groom your carpets and the drapes, if you know what I mean, with the leaders and below the waist grooming. Look, shave your bush, all right? Shave it, all right? And then watch your confidence bloom like a springtime flower. All right. Embrace the season and join the 10 million men worldwide who are blooming this time of year. All right. Go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code SGPN for 20% off plus free shipping. After using Manscaped, personally, I mean, I have 4 of the 5 lawnmowers here. I know they made that movie with Sean Connery, but God damn it. I should be called Lawnmower Man. All right. All right. I got all this. All right. And let me tell you, their 5th generation trimmer comes with 2 interchangeable next gen skin safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, always like you do, and a new foil blade. They go smooth wherever your heart desires. It's also got dual LED spotlights to guide you through the darkest winter debris. All right.
That's really the clutch part about that. The spotlight, you can do some fine trimming with that thing.
That's what I'm saying. Navigate your ass with confidence. In those delicate areas, you want to navigate. Hate making a mess? Don't worry about it. This bad boy is waterproof. You can shave in the goddamn Luray Caverns. All right? Don't worry about it. You can be in the bathtub with old Rebecca. Don't worry about it. Get on over there under a waterfall like Tom Cruise in Cocktail. Don't worry about it. All right. This thing's going to work fine. And I love it. It also has a compact case. Not enough things in 2024 have a compact case. I take it with me everywhere I go. And to me, you get the compact case, you're good. 20% off and free shipping with the promo code SGPN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the promo code SGPN at manscaped.com. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your fucking pants. All right. Promo code SGPN, 20% off plus free shipping. And we're back. Nothing like a good old Manscaped read. Let's talk a little about my boys. My boys. Eastern Michigan, the Hurons.
They were pretty shitty last year. I know they went bowling. They went 6-6. They were pretty shitty.
That's a testament.
Why do
to
you
Creighton.
change the Hurons? Do they not have the authorization or the
I don't know.
support from the Hurons? I don't.
The
even know if
world got
Hurons
all
exist
crazy
anymore.
and wacky. You know what I mean?
It's a cool ass old mascot. They should bring it
It's cool
back.
as fuck, man.
Well, if Central Michigan can still be the Chippewas, what's the difference? It's
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
an Indian
It's all
tribe.
stupid. Just kick them a little bit of bucks. You know what I mean?
Let's get this thing done.
Dude, Eastern Michigan 6 wins to go bowling last year. Howard, UMass, Ball State, Kent State, Akron, Buffalo. They were a bad team that had no business bowling, which is probably why they lost to South Alabama 59-10 in the 68 Ventures Bowl.
They couldn't throw the pass, and they get. You want to talk about a team that gets annihilated by the portal?
Yeah.
Every year, their best players are playing at better schools. Like Creighton builds them up, and the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, they take them away, man. The non-con though, you get week 1, a little showdown with Don Brown and Amherst at UMass. They were down like 20-0 to start that game, and they won last year. So I'll push back and see, Nick. They had a little gut check against UMass, and they came back and got it done. Week 2, they're heading to Seattle, take on Jed Fish, game 2.
Hey.
I think they're live. Remember, they won
Upset.
at Arizona State. Dude, they've won at Arizona State, at Purdue, at Illinois, at Minnesota. They've won some of these big time games. Watch
This
out.
team was just in the national championship.
And their whole team is gone. I don't know if you've noticed this. If you think Alabama's team's gone, Washington's times 3. Washington's entire team is gone.
Yeah, even their backup quarterback gone.
Yeah, no, everybody on the roster is gone. Week 3, they get Rich Rod. That's not that they're going to get their ass whooped in that game. Rich
Is
Rod
this
coming
the
back
last?
from Michigan.
Where's that game at?
Ypsilanti.
Reinierson. Is that? Wait, I thought they were tearing up the field there. Is this the last season on the gray turf?
No, they're doing it right now, I think.
Oh, so first game on the new
What's
turf.
his name?
there.
Max Crosby gave him $1 million.
I'm kind of happy about that. Dude,
Yeah.
I didn't hate the great turf, but
What?
regular grass is better.
The Great Turf was fun though, because it
Great
was
Turf
like a
was
throwback
awesome.
to like 1950.
Yeah,
I kinda
but-
like the grass.
Turf is
Yeah, grass,
bullshit.
you can never go wrong with grass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. So the non-con at UMass, at Washington, back-to-back way, then home to Rich Rod, and then home to St. Francis. 2-2, 3-1. Nick,
I'll say 2-2.
The
I see.
UMass road trip is you feel pretty good about that?
Not really. I don't feel good about Eastern Michigan in any game, but even the St. Francis game.
I think
Well,
1
I'll
and
say
3 is a
2-2.
safer bet. I don't know that Tom Brown, Chris
Craig,
Craig,
UMass. Come on.
Don Brown. You say Tom Brown?
Tom Brown. Sorry,
Good old Tom Brown. I'll tell you, this is nice though. You know, it's nice when you see, to me, Buffalo, Akron, and Kent State on the schedule.
For sure.
So I think
Now-
Chris Creighton's going to have these boys contending.
Now, on the flip side, you got Miami of Ohio, Toledo, Ohio on the schedule. So they play the best of the MAC and the worst of the MAC.
They're going to get up and clip one of them. Chris Creighton don't keep his boys down, man. Great
2 of
football
them are
coach.
in Ypsilanti. 2 of those 3 tough games are at home. So potentially.
They're gonna get one of them. YouTube.com/the college experience. Once again, you can watch this.
are they
So-
more likely to get either Miami, Ohio, or Toledo at home, or to lose to Kent State or Akron on the road?
I could see
Tough.
both.
That's
I
tough.
could see both.
Either way, I think they're definitely bowling. They're definitely bowling this year, dude.
What is Chris Creighton done?
He bowls every year, pretty much. And if they don't bowl, they go 5-7, and they lose every game by 3 points.
I mean, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that maybe this year's team will be better than last year.
Well,
'cause
the quarterback's
last year,
gone. He kicked him to the FCS and said,
Right.
"You got to go."
Well, last
Yeah,
year was
went
probably
bowling last year.
it was probably his worst team last year, and they somehow went bowling. So maybe another 6-6.
Yeah, dude. I see UMass, St. Francis 2, Kent State 3. I personally think they'll beat either Miami, Ohio, or Central Michigan. That'll be 4. Akron 5. Buffalo 6. That would probably beat someone else there. I'll say 7-5. 7-5 season. 7-5 season for the Eagles.
I had it 10th easiest, Cole, but you had it a bit tougher than me.
You had 10th easiest?
Yeah.
My logic was you do get Toledo, Miami, Ohio, and then Washington. But I guess I don't know. I view Jacksonville State as a dangerous team.
That's
maybe this year,
team.
maybe. Yeah.
I phrased that incorrectly. I had it ranked 10th, so it would be 3rd easiest.
30s.
Gotcha. And I had it what? 4th easiest? No, 5th easiest. Yeah. Anyway, they'll be bowling. You guys feel confident that they'll be bowling again?
No, not after what I saw on the field last year.
They went bowling.
They were a bad
worse
team.
than last year.
They were a bad team. The schedule was a little bit easier last year, probably.
I don't know. I feel like their non-con was a little tougher last year.
Let me check. Is Chris Creighton coming down to earth of late?
What was their non-con last year, Nick?
Well, their 2 wins was Howard and UMass. But this year, UMass is on the road.
That's supposed to be ooh. All right.
Well, that's technically at least a little bit harder.
Look, Chris Creighton has gone bowling 6 of the last 7 non-COVID years, and the one year that he didn't make it, he went 5-7. So
you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. But also last year they lost at Minnesota and lost 21-0 at Jacksonville State.
They were in that Minnesota game though, right?
But this year they get Jacksonville State at home, so it's actually pretty similar to last year.
They're going to go 6-6.
I think they could beat Washington. Watch out.
That would be a call. Clip that one. Clip that one right now.
Watch out. I called it when they went to Tempe and won. All right, and Herm Edwards got fired because of that one. Bobby Hurley can't get fired for anything, but Herm Edwards loses to a good Chris Creighton team. He's gone. All right. Just because he was hosting recruits during COVID when the whole goddamn SEC was too.
Also, he didn't know what the mascot was.
Well, that's
little detail.
No CTE there. Kent State. Oh boy, Kent State. This non-con. I love St. Francis just scheduling all these fucking MAC schools.
Yeah, do we know something? Or do they know something that we don't? Are they going to get the invite to the MAC? Are they
is that
testing
the 14th
waters?
team? They got that's another thing. Is with UMass coming next year is 13. You'd like to think they want a cool 14. Is St. Francis that team?
This is St. Francis, PA, right?
Yeah, PA. Brooklyn decided to get rid of their athletic. They did
the basketball team too.
They got rid of their whole athletic department. Fucking New Yorkers are all fucked up. Pitt in the non-con at Pitt, Heinz Field. The MAC's got a history of giving them games.
Winnable game.
Home to St. Francis, then at Tennessee, and then at Penn State. Woo. Unbelievable. You're not look, Kenny Burns, the old Civil War
historian.
Yeah, historian. It was Antietam. No. He's gonna be canned. He went 1-11 last year. There's no way when you start off with those 3, and then that's another reason why Eastern Michigan, that's a for sure win. It's because they come off Tennessee and Penn State. Eastern Michigan's in a great spot week 5 to get them. Week 6, they get a bye week. Week 7, home to Ball State. Week 8 at Bowling Green. Week 9 at Western Michigan. Week 10, bye. Then home to Ohio, at Miami, Ohio, home to Akron, rivalry game, wagon wheel, at Stake, and then at Buffalo. Now, there is no Toledo on the schedule, but they're going to get fucked up. I actually think they're going to be dogs in every single game except the St. Francis game.
I think you're probably right. What about the last 2 games? Akron, Buffalo.
Akron, they could be, because if Moorhead gets fired by then, or if he leaves, I could see him like leaving. Maybe.
I think both of those teams are on a short week, going Wednesday to Tuesday. So I guess the home field advantage should go to Kent State. I think they might beat Akron there. So maybe I got them looking at 2-10.
I want to say the Kent State Akron game was really close last year, wasn't it? 31-27. They lost at Akron last year. I think they were up. Was that like a big comeback by Akron?
Yes. If memory serves me correct, they were up like
they were
2
up
or 3 scores.
27 to 10 going into the fourth.
You sent me a text talking shit, and then you woke up. You woke up to an L. You woke up. You never disrespect the Akron Zips like that. All right.
No, but I want to say I had Kent State covering that, so I was happy, but I'm not positive. It doesn't matter.
3 Power 5 road trips in the first 4 weeks. Like we mentioned, this is a team that is just trying to pay the bills. I do like that they have named their spring game the Flash Bowl. This is Flash Bowl 2, so apparently that's a new development.
Did you catch the first one? It was a heater.
We'll have to tune into the Flash Bowl April 27th. We got 3 weeks.
I want to see them good, man. I like their style. But
every year, though, they have the toughest out of conference schedule.
Who the
in the
fuck
nation.
is their athletic director?
Not in the MAC, in the nation.
Who is their athletic director? Just do Pitt and Penn State. You don't need the Tennessee game there. No. Pitt and Penn State. Your chances of beating Pitt every once in a while are they're real. Penn State is the automatic loss, and then you put Western Kentucky there, and you're good. Yeah. Just
let's take one look though at these. I feel like this in-conference slate is really easy. Am I wrong?
Well, they're going to lose to Eastern Michigan because they just played Tennessee and Penn State. So that's a bad draw there.
But let's leave Tennessee and Penn State out of there, right? Let's just take this in a vacuum as a conference slate. A home opener against Eastern Michigan, winnable, right? Bye week, and then a home game against Ball State,
winnable.
Sure.
Road
at
trip
Bowling Green, always winnable.
Yeah, Bowling Green has put themselves way past as a program than Kent State right now.
Still. At Western Michigan, that's a for sure loss. For sure.
How is at Western Michigan a for sure loss, but at Bowling Green isn't?
Bowling Green's weird. Have you folled their seasons?
Like you guys are just Loeffler haters. Loeffler, whatever his name is.
Ass, not that long ago.
But the last couple of years, last year Bowling Green was better than Western Michigan for sure.
Okay, one of those two they'll lose certainly on the road back to back.
They're gonna lose both of them,
probably. But then a bye week before hosting Ohio, probably a loss.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know how you're gonna sell me that one. But look, I mean, NC next. He's got Bowling Green as the next great team here. This team is still questionable. Like they still struggle. They beat Ball State by 3. They were struggling with Buffalo. They got the wins, but it's not like we're looking at the 72 Dolphins here.
And they beat Kent State at Kent State 49-19. Conveniently left that one out from last year.
Kenny Burns year 1. Go back to the year before when they lost to actually the year that they were bowling, they lost to Eastern Kentucky, the Colonels. All right. Didn't mention that one.
And by the way, they were up 24-7 at halftime against Buffalo. Buffalo had a late third quarter touchdown to make it kind of interesting.
Well, you didn't bring up 2022 when Kent State beat Bowling Green 40-6. Sean Lewis effect.
Sean Lewis is gone, and that was 2 years ago. Let's talk more recent history.
All right,
look, this is what I have to say. Scotty Loeffler, this isn't the first rodeo. What he did what he has done at Bowling Green has been surprising. But prior to that, I want to say he wasn't that nice at Michigan, and certainly at Virginia Tech. You know, Brian Steinspring was the problem at Tech. They had Bud Foster on the other side of the ball, creating elite number 1 defenses for like 20 years, and Steinspring was the problem. And Loeffler comes in to replace him and makes Steinspring look like fucking John Madden. Yeah. He was I
had no opinion on the guy. All I know is that you guys were hating on him unfairly, wanting him to get shit canned at Bowling Green.
2021. Hold on. 2021, they got housed in like 40 games. Right?
It took him a while to get the program going.
He earned those ass whoopings. Those ass whoopings, though, earned the perception that we gave him.
Now, I think you guys have been rooting against him ever since he got there.
As soon as he started sucking ass,
I don't know what he did to you guys.
Well, I just thought we had a good, idea of what he was, which was a bad hire.
You were wrong.
He has proven us a little bit wrong. So yes,
thank you.
I'm a little bit rooting for Scotty Loeffler in just to contradict what you're saying there, Nick. Hell yeah, get it, Scotty.
All right. Look, if you're watching on YouTube, stay put. We got part 2 coming right up, where we're going to talk the rest of the MAC and then the Fighting Irish, Marcus Freeman, Patty C's boy. So stick around. We're going to cover the rest shortly. You're listening to the College Football Experience. Make sure you subscribe. Hop on over to YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience MAC 2024 schedule release and Notre Dame schedule release breakdown episode. Christopher Moore says, when you think of MACtion, you think Notre Dame. Yeah, well, there's 2 MAC teams on their schedule. They got that. What you didn't realize is they got this deal with the ACC. They also have this deal with the MAC. Who's better?
Same geographical footprint,
Yeah,
they fit right in.
Yeah, same quality of team. From number 3 on down. You got
how far is South Bend from Muncie? They're.
I was about to say, like, if you had put in Ball State in that national championship against Alabama, where Notre Dame didn't deserve to be there, I think Ball State would have put up a better fight. And look, they wouldn't have had fake girlfriends either. All right.
You can't feel bad. You can. I will stand up for Manti Te'o anytime anyone.
No one in Muncie's ever had a fake girlfriend.
Nope.
All right, that's a fact of life. Let's jump on over and talk about the Miami, Ohio Redskins. By the way, they're live week 1. This is just the game Northwestern loses.
Oh yeah,
that is just the game Northwestern loses. Also, week 3, the Battle of the Victory Bell, Patty C. Cincinnati's got to come to Oxford. That's just the game that Satterfield loses. They're going to be 2-0. They're going to be 2-0 against Power 5s. Then they head to South Bend. They will lose that. 3 Power 5s in the non-con. Relax. And then you got UMass, future rivalry game, future MAC opponent.
Hey, I'm sorry if I missed this. Where is that Northwestern game at? Because it says TBD. Is that
that's because they destroyed Ryan Field. Those fucking losers. And it might be at Wrigley. It might be at their. Have you seen their practice stadium? It's like 10 feet from the lake.
That's pretty.
I hope it's at the practice. I mean, I like it at Wrigley too. But
yeah,
how do you destroy Ryan Field? That was a great stadium. They fucked it all up. Northwestern.
It was not a great stadium. It was an old stadium. It was a classic stadium.
Really, I think it was great. So you renovate that. It looked awesome from the outside. Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe you renovate it. Maybe it was the fact that it was never filled that made it feel like a shithole. But that's what private school pussies suddenly in our generation started to hate football. That's not our fault. All right. That's true. 1995, that place was packed.
That's what I'm saying.
Notre Dame is a private school.
Yeah, that's true. And even with that, I don't know. They're on the schedule. They're on the fucking schedule.
That's right.
Can Miami beat Notre Dame week 4?
They could.
Probably not, but we see Notre Dame stumble against Toledo, Marshall, those 2 opponents of late. So maybe a third.
Isn't
Stanford,
Riley Leonard undergoing surgery? He's scheduled to miss a good portion of the spring and maybe the summer.
They're breaking a new OC too. What's his name left?
Denbrock,
being a Duke fan,
he was the best OC in the country last year. So.
If you guys were a Duke fan, or say Riley Leonard transferred from JMU or ECU, would you root for him at Notre Dame?
No. I don't root for anybody at Notre Dame. Even Rudy, I thought was a fucking asshole. All right. I hated him. I was waiting for John Favreau's character to punch him in the face.
And he was definitely offsides.
He was definitely offside. I mean,
Notre Dame refs.
Yeah, dude. But Miami, let's talk about Miami Ohio's chances against Northwestern and Cincinnati. I think they're live in both games.
They beat Cincinnati last year.
Patty C, I know that's going to bother you. But the victory bell stays in Oxford, baby.
Dude, if they get 2 in a row after 14 in a row and if that Cincinnati got, shit, put a statue up, There's who's the head man in charge? I'm drawing a blank.
Chuck Martin, former Notre Dame OC back in the day.
Doing a great job. If they got 2 in a row, that'd be amazing. And look, Cincinnati has huge question marks all over the place. And the fact that this game's in Oxford off of a bye from Miami, Ohio, very possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris Moore says Ben Roethlisberger ain't walking through that door. Is that the same Chris Moore that was a punter for the Buffalo Bills in the 90s, late 80s? I think he's from Alabama. Memory serves me correct.
You know who is walking through that door is Brett Gabbert, though, right?
It's 17th fucking year. I mean,
Well, I don't got the brain man cold, but they're counting down 765
for 7 years.
Just his 6th year.
You gotta love it. That experience.
I think they win one of those games.
Dude, they're definitely winning one of those games. They're definitely winning one of those. The defense is good. Miami Ohio's defense is good.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, Patty C. Your Bearcats are going down.
You know what? I like it. It's good for the rivalry. You know,
it is good
down on this.
Yeah.
Hold on. That's Arizona. Never mind.
I want to say the all-time rivalry in that series is like dead even at this point. So fuck it. You know, even though Cincinnati's made the jump to Power 5 and they're probably going to pull away, the more that Miami, Ohio can keep that series even, I kind of root for it low key.
You know, it's a little bit tough about this. You know, they're out of conference schedule, no FCS. Most of the MAC schools have one.
Yeah.
Are they the only one that doesn't?
Well, they put UMass. They got confused. They didn't realize they were FBS.
I think they're the only one that doesn't.
That doesn't have what?
Really
Sorry,
quickly,
what was that?
Yeah, they're the only MAC school that does not have an FCS.
Kudos. Gotta like that.
They're gonna go. I think they're at least 2-2 in the non-con.
I agree.
They could be 3-1.
It's a tough start to that slate though, because they go immediately to Toledo. They could be 1-4.
They could. I mean, shit. Don Brown might have UMass rolling. They got that momentum of them joining the conference.
They're not going to be 0-5.
The conference schedule to start off with back-to-back aways is tough, and then you come home and you get one of the best teams in Ohio. So it's a tough start. To
and the Chips are always talented. I feel like they're more talented than a lot of teams that win the MAC.
Sure.
Then you get a bye week, then you go to Muncie. You're not getting Muncie on the middle of nowhere. And then you're home to Kent State, home to Northern Illinois, and then at Bowling Green. I like the back end of the schedule. I don't think it's that hard to go win at Bowling Green. Leffler might be fired by then.
Shoot, the first 5 are really tough. The back 7 are all winnable.
Yeah,
I don't see a single game on the back 7 that they're more than a 5-point dog in.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe I had it. Nick, where'd you have this ranked?
Third hardest.
Just because of 3 Power 5s, right?
I think so. That was the main thing. Right? And getting Ohio and Toledo, and no FCS. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's hop on over and talk about these Huskies. You know,
let me interrupt for 1 second. These fucking Boddingtons, right? They got the Union Jack on them. I'm gonna admit this as an Irishman. I had the Guinness in my hands at the liquor store before this episode, and I put it down to pick up these fucking Boddingtons with the English flag on them. Disgusting move by me. And what are they doing? They're literally exploding in my face. Never buy Boddingtons.
I hadn't seen Boddingtons forever. I didn't think they still made them.
You're gonna blame that on the IRA? You're gonna blame that on the IRA too?
You know, the IRA blew up Boddingtons.
That would be great if you could do an explosion beer.
You can do a car bomb and you can do a Boddington bomb.
Yeah.
For sure, you can call it a body bomb.
Body bomb. Yeah, guys, Northern Illinois, they got Patty C's boy Thomas Hammock. I love this. I've been a fan of this program for a long time.
What's our nickname for him?
Fat Albert.
No,
Fat Albert.
the round mound of touchdown.
That's right.
I like that.
That's right.
I like that. You know, I love the week 1 matchup. Last year they got Southern Illinois. They lost to Southern Illinois, by the way. Shout out to my guy Stone Labanowitz. This year they get the Leathernecks of Western Illinois. See, they know what they're doing in their FCS scheduling. They get it. They get college football. Week 2, they're heading to South Bend. Watch out. And like I said, they've won at Nebraska twice. They've won at Georgia Tech. They've won at Maryland. They're gonna give them a game. They're gonna give them a game. I'm telling you, I'm taking the points. Taking NIU in the points. Week 3, they get a bye. Week 4, they're home to the Buffalo Bulls. You got to like getting Buffalo the first month with a brand new head coach. Then week 5, they head to the Pussy Pack in Raleigh. Dave Doran against his old school.
I like it.
Watch out. Watch out now.
Last time they played an ACC opponent, they beat Boston College last year, week 1.
And they beat Georgia Tech the year before. Fuck, they should be in the ACC. You guys are adding Stanford and Cal and SMU. Why aren't you giving the Huskies a call? And they beat Maryland when Maryland was in the ACC.
They were both on the road. Yes,
man. They go into ACC country and they leave with a dub.
Chris is asking if I go against NIU since they were the starting point of Dave Doran's career. No, because see, long before that, it was was it Jeff Novak? Jeff Novak, I think, was the coach that really put NIU on the map. And then it was Doran, and then it was who was the guy in between? You know, they had PJ Fleck was a wide receiver for them. I remember he had the game-winning touchdown against Maryland. I'm drawing a blank on the third coach there, though.
Me too.
Yeah. Anyway, the non-con I think is challenging. You get 2 tough road environments. I talk a lot of shit about NC State, and rightfully so. They could still lose that game, but at least their fans pack that fucking place. So their fourth non-con game is home to UMass. UMass was ahead of the curve in joining the MAC.
Like we might as well officially join.
Yeah.
every team's playing UMass, and it's like, wait, but they're not. They have no chance of winning the championship. Why? Yeah, I think you're looking at a 2-2 non-con schedule because UMass in DeKalb, I think, is a loss. But I am a little. I mean, Western Illinois has been ass in the FCS lately. A while back, they were pretty good, but I think that's a for sure win.
I do appreciate a directional Illinois matchup here.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Like I said, that Southern Illinois, Western Illinois, they should just rotate years. All three, those 2, and then Illinois State. Just rotate that.
The rest of the MAC got it. Yeah. Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Northern Michigan. What is it?
Northern Michigan. No, shout out to Jerry Glanville. He's from Northern. Northern Michigan.
Central Michigan.
Eastern, Central, Western.
Yeah. Central, Western, Eastern. Sorry.
That has to be your bowl.
Northern and Western Illinois, though. Good game.
You gotta like the in-conference schedule. You got you do have Toledo, but it's in DeKalb.
Right.
You got no Ohio. And then you're at Miami, Ohio. By week 13, Brett Gabbert will be out for the year. So, but that's a good thing. You know, he gets injured every year. He's like N'Faly Dante in football form.
Well, I feel like they have. I know there's no MAC West anymore, but they have mostly MAC West opponents other than Bowling Green and Akron. So those were teams that, you know, I mean, in the past, getting them from the East would be a good thing. So not bad at all.
They're contenders, I think, this year.
Sure.
Why not? 5-3 last year, 7-6 overall, but them obviously 3 conference losses, or 3 non-conference losses. 5-3, pretty respectable in the conference last year. So maybe
they won Illinois. 6 of their last 8 games.
Yeah.
Tommy Hammock got it rolling.
It's a good program, man. Proud program. For the past 25 years, they've been fucking good.
Didn't you claim that this is the single greatest home environment in the MAC?
I disagree.
It went away a little bit.
Ohio.
When they were rolling with Jordan Lynch or Novak, who I was talking about, when they had, who was their quarterback's name back in the day? The team that had Fleck, they had a good quarterback, much better passing quarterback than Lynch. But this is
one only the database will be able to pull. Sorry,
I can't even think about it right now. But he was fucking good. And they had a bunch of good running backs. They had Garrett Wolf. They had the Bernard Turner. They had LaShawn Johnson back in the day. I think they had LaShawn Johnson, but they definitely had Bernard Turner, Michael the Bernard Turner.
Baller.
But I think they are contenders. We'll see. I had it a 7th. Where'd you have it ranked, Nick? Rod Carey's the other coach, by the way. Rod Carey. Thank you.
7th exactly also.
Yeah, I think it still presents challenges. And I will say this, Tommy Hammock, we like him. Seems like a great guy.
It's fun to root for fat people, just like DJ Burns.
Well, let me ask you this.
Right?
Sorry, it's true.
Thomas Hammock, 5-7, 0-6, 9-5, 3-9, 7-6.
That's what I'm saying. Like I
Pretty
know
up and down.
I know he played there, so they give him a pass. But if you look at the coaches before him, it's kind of tough to say. Like they were doing, the program was in a little bit better hands, I would say.
Still 9-5 and 7-6 in two of the past 3 years. Sure, there was a 3-9 clunker in between, but those are 2 pretty good years. I think you let it ride with Tommy Hammock.
He's on solid ground, I think.
Yeah, he's on solid. He's an alum. Shout out to Moneyline Max. Says, "Love me some action, baby. Let's go Minutemen." That's next year, though. What football is not this year. I mean, they sort of still play everybody, so maybe it is this year.
I need to check how many.
It's really
games
hard to figure out. Yeah,
I think it's 5. I think UMass plays 5 MAC games this year.
Hilarious.
Respect.
Next year they'll play 8. So I mean, yeah, it's pretty.
Well, what's
close.
hilarious is they used to be in the MAC, so they left but they still stayed in it in a way.
Why'd they leave? Did UMass think they were too good for the MAC?
No, they kicked them out because they wouldn't put their basketball in. But now they're putting their basketball in. Because they realized that, hey, football drives the needle.
Gotcha.
That's a W. Yeah. That's playing hardball, and they got UMass basketball in the MAC. That's got to be now the blue blood program of MAC basketball, right?
Hey, Akron and Kent State say, "Fuck you, buddy."
And right? Ohio.
Yeah, and Ohio. Ben Vanderplas. You know your Wahoos went in there and stole them. And the Wahoos took a loss to them the year before.
How about Mark Sears?
Yeah, that's true. So
if anything, I mean,
all the players get stolen, man.
The MAC's probably a better basketball program right now than football, which wasn't the case maybe 10 years ago.
Definitely wasn't the case. I don't think it was the case 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Buffalo had some good basketball teams.
They did.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Northern Illinois, I think contenders this year. Let's talk about NC Nick's squad, the Ohio Bobcats. They lose Nathan Rourke, and these are the breaks to Indiana. Didn't they bring in Gundy? They brought in Gundy's son, I think.
Oh man, he was so bad.
Maybe we should take Ohio off that plateau. So the non-con, I like this non-con. Once again, pay attention to this, guys. You notice how Toledo and Ohio and Miami, Ohio kind of go lighter on the non-con because they think they can contend. At Syracuse, very fucking winnable. They're breaking in a brand new head coach. Home to South Alabama, good school in the Sun Belt there.
Also breaking in a brand new head coach.
Yes, home to Morgan State and then at Kentucky. These MAC schools always almost beat Kentucky too. Like Northern Illinois lost by like 7. They're like winning, like going into the 4th, and you're like, you turn it on, you're like, God, they shit the bed somehow, but they always almost do it.
Refresh my memory, Colby. Who did Kentucky bring at quarterback this year? Because they've been doing the rent a quarterback here lately.
The backup Vandergriff from Georgia.
Yeah. You think he's gonna be good?
I don't know if he's as good as Leary or Levis.
Right? Wow. Yeah. You even said as good as Leary, and you hate Leary.
Well, I didn't hate him. I hated the hype. Yeah. People acted like he was fucking Broadway Joe, and I never understood it.
Vandegrift will have several years of eligibility left, if I'm not mistaken. He's only probably like a sophomore at this point, so maybe 2 or 3 years left.
You get that bag of cash.
Solid name, Vandergriff. I kind of want him to be good.
I mean, they were so douchey quarterback in the Georgia quarterback room there for a little bit.
Oh, but I was going to say, here's my problem with Kentucky under Mark Stoops. They went away from who they are. In the 90s, they used to have real guys, Billy Jack Haskins, Jared Lorenzen. They used to have guys that fit. They fit Kentucky. Now they're playing pro ball essentially. They're going out and getting, go get someone that's Kentucky.
Hey, let me ask you this real quick. So we're saying that Ohio has done a good job, or at least a respectable job. They're trying to, respect their program in terms of wins and losses. I guess they have 2 Power 5 road trips on their schedule. That's not that different than some of the other schools. But
no, at Syracuse,
that's true. They're not taking on Georgia and Michigan,
Texas A&M or Penn State. Yeah. At Syracuse, dude, like that's a very winnable. They might even be favored.
Let me ask you this: which one's tougher, this out of conference or Ball State, which is Missouri State at Miami, at JMU, at Vandy?
No, I think their one's harder. This is easier.
Because Vandy is Syracuse is better than Vandy though, right? By a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
But at least no. I would disagree though, because I mean, yes, depends where, but like Vandy's in year 3, they're bringing Jerry Kill, Diego pissing Pavia.
Yeah,
you're getting Syracuse in their coach's first ever game.
Yeah, I agree. Good point.
Fran Brown. I think it's a great time to jump on Syracuse. So
yeah, that is a nice break there. I would still say Syracuse as a program, obviously way ahead of Vanderbilt. But you're right. They
I would say way.
Really?
Donovan McNabb, he graduated. Donovan McNabb graduated.
Dwight Freeney's been gone for a while too.
Vanderbilt hasn't won shit ever.
What are you talking about?
Marvin Harrison's been gone so long. His son is about to be a first-round draft pick.
Like I don't like Vanderbilt was bowling what 3 years ago.
James
4 years
Franklin
ago?
ain't walking through that door.
No, but Derek Mason had him bowling.
Okay. Either way, I think a significant edge as a program to Syracuse over Vanderbilt.
Really?
Oh,
I mean, you're
ranked 9th. No, we're lockstep again, ranked 9th. Because look, that out of conference, that's very manageable.
Yeah. Oh no, they like getting 2 brand new head coaches their first 2 weeks. Awesome.
I would imagine Morgan State sucks too, right?
Well, they should have beat Akron last year, but they fumbled the ball, running out the clock, and Akron returned it for a touchdown. But they're not great. Yes, they should be. Honestly, I think they're going to go 3-1 in the non-con as long as Gundy's not starting.
They could go 4-0, and this could be a special year for Ohio. Did you say Curtis Work and these are the breaks is coming back, or is he going?
No, he transferred to Indiana.
Oh, he's going to Indiana. Dagger. That does hurt.
Your fucking boy Signetti stole him.
Yeah,
he's been doing that.
He told Jordan McLeod, "You're not good enough to play Big Ten ball."
I know we haven't dipped into the conference schedule yet, but I like where their bye weeks are situated.
Yeah, that matters too. At least they don't have a week 1 bye week. But week 5, they're home to Akron. Then they get a bye week 6. Then at Central Michigan, followed by at Miami, Ohio. I think that's the toughest conference stretch right there. Then home to Buffalo, then a bye week, and then at Kent State, then home to Eastern Michigan, then at Toledo, and then home to Ball State. It is a nice schedule. It's a nice schedule. Tim Albin getting the boys ready. I think they're going to make a run.
Back to the MAC championship this year.
Yeah,
let's go. And this time you win it. All right.
Ohio versus Toledo. I know we haven't gotten to Toledo yet, but obviously that would be my assumption. I don't know if you guys are on board with that.
Well, what's tough here is that they do play at Toledo and at Miami of Ohio. Both of those teams are going to be competing for a championship as well, and they're both on the road for the Bobcats.
That's true.
CMU could be too, so they might get all 3 contenders.
Yeah,
in their home stadium there.
That does suggest though maybe that of those 3 contenders, we think the real contenders for the conference championship are obviously Toledo, Miami, Ohio, and did you say there was one other?
I think Central Michigan they have the talent to. Doesn't mean they will.
I think
Northern Illinois is in the mix too.
Yeah. But the heavy favorites would be Toledo, Ohio, and Miami, Ohio. And getting both Miami, Ohio, and Toledo on the road might put them 3rd in the pecking order, which is an unfortunate break for Ohio.
Yeah, and they're gonna go back to that retro logo. It's that's way better than their current logo.
Yeah, it's a shame it's not another Native American tribe, because every MAC team should be a Native American tribe.
I like that angle. It adds to the rivalry. All right, folks, I want to tell you that you are listening to the College Football Experience on Sports Gambling Podcast Network, which is home to 20+ gambling podcasts that are all completely free to download. This week's featured show is the MLB Gambling Podcast. Baseball is back, and so is the MLB Crew with their daily free picks podcast. If you aren't subscribed to MLB Gambling Podcast, you need to be. What are you waiting for? Get on over there and play ball. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S. based and available in 40 different states. P2P social betting is a new and better way to bet. Bet directly against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop culture, and other events with verifiable outcomes. Plus, they got a ton of fun social features that give it a feel of a betting social network, so to speak. Head on over to Cut. All right, it's KUGT.com, or download the Cut app in the App Store. And use the promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Sign up today with the promo code TCE SGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pickup special. And pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. You can win 100 times the amount of money you enter in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. So what are you doing, folks? Visit underdogfantasy.com, find them in the App Store, and don't forget to register with that promo code TCE SGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pickup special. All right, Patty C. He's got the Boddington shits over there. Let's hop on over and talk about these Rockets. Patty C's favorite school.
Boom. God, I love the Rockets. Does that make me a sellout because I like the Rockets? The Glass Bowl is super cool. I think the logo and the
Glass Bowl is super cool. The Glass Bowl and the fact they have the rocket aimed at their rival, we come full circle, is awesome.
I think what makes you a sellout is getting English beer over Irish beer.
Buddy, I've just been doing the Guinness thing for a long time.
I'm joking, man. I don't give a shit.
But no, it does. You're right. That is a sellout move, and I should be chastised publicly for that. So thank you for that.
Now, Toledo last year lost 3 games by a combined 12 points.
They should have went undefeated. They should have went. They should have went undefeated here. All right, they should have. Look at this glory. Battle I-75. Week 1, home to Duquesne. CJ Sullivan.
The Dukes.
Don't let the Dukes get hot at the Glass Bowl. Although I know most Toledo fans, they hit the Glass Bowl before this game because they're going to need to. This is going to be an ass whooping. I know they lost to Quan Finn. Week 2, home to you. Hey, surprise. UMass is on the schedule. Week 3, they head to Starkville. Could they be live against Jeff Levy and Mississippi State? I think they could be.
I think they could.
They very much could be.
And I like this matchup here. You know, Western Kentucky wanted to, there was talks of them joining the MAC. The only thing is Middle Tennessee had to rule with them. And Middle Tennessee said, no, let's stay in the CUSA. They have some type of brotherhood there, 100 miles of hate. They try to keep that together. But
respect.
I like this game on the schedule. Toledo, Western Kentucky, in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Western Kentucky is no slouch.
Yeah, that's a tough game. It's a fun game.
5 last year.
I still think Toledo can win that game, but I think it's kind of anyone's game. A slight favorite to Toledo. Nick, what would you?
I'm curious as Western Kentucky. I saw them slip last year. They've lost some coordinators there, I think. Austin Reed, I believe, is gone. I'm curious as to if Western Kentucky can remain like a 9-10 win team, or if they're going to slip a little bit. We'll see.
Well, NC Nick, do you believe in Patty C's statement that Western Kentucky has the best logo in all the sports with that right there?
The terrible towel.
It's awful, but the fact that it's awful is charming.
What is their mascot again?
What's his name again? I forget his name. I know
they're
his
the
name.
Hilltoppers.
No, but that guy's name, they have a
He's
name
basically
for him.
Grimace, Red Grimace.
Yeah, or the Blob. Basically.
Yeah,
whatever he is.
They're going to go. I would favor them to go 3-1 in the non-con. Even if they beat Mississippi State, then they lose to Western Kentucky.
Yeah, they're definitely losing one of those 2 back-to-back. They could be 2-2.
They could win all of them. They could win all of them.
They could win all of them too. If they're that good this year, then all those games are winnable. But I would say 3-1.
Yeah.
Then
let me ask you this:
wait, what's up?
They have the bye week. Is the MAC favoring Toledo? Are they giving them the nice break between non-conference and conference play to prep up?
Probably. They probably know that they're their best shot to make the 12-team playoff.
And they also play both Ohio and Miami of Ohio, but they're both at home.
Yeah. And they get the Battle of I-75 at home. They're pulling an SEC, pulling a Big 12, trying to get your boys into the dance.
Yeah.
So yeah, after their non-con, they have a bye week, and then they go into conference play, home to Miami, Ohio, then at Buffalo, then at Northern Illinois. Circle that one. That one's a critical game because that's the look-ahead spot right before the Battle of I-75. I bet you Northern Illinois gets them.
Is that
Then
really a look-ahead spot?
Yeah,
for Bowling Green.
I don't think you understand. That's a real heated rivalry. Like that is a real heated rivalry.
Lookout more so this year. So that's something that can make the MAC more interesting to me.
Well, I'm saying talk to people that go to both schools, and that actually means something, and that shit will be packed for that.
There's some dislike there. I love it.
It's been. I think that rivalry's been like over 100 years old too. I think it's been there for a long time. Then at Eastern Michigan at the Factory there, week 10. Then they're bye week 11. Then home to Central Michigan, home to Ohio, and then at Akron. Moorhead could be gone by then. You got to like that. They're gonna win the MAC again.
They could go 12-0
year, but I'm just saying.
I actually have them ranked as the easiest, Colby. I know you had what, Buffalo 12th and Toledo 11th. I had that flipped. Basically because not just the conference, getting those two good teams at home, but I think every game is winnable. Where at least Buffalo
at Missouri,
at Mizzou, that's the difference for me. But it's close, and this is a very easy schedule for one of the best teams in the league. So it'd be hard to not pencil them into the MAC championship.
Yeah,
8-0 in conference last year. Their losses, like we mentioned, that 2-point loss against Illinois that they should have won.
Up the whole fucking game, dude. That was shit in the bed, man.
Miami, Ohio in the MAC championship, and then a 1-point loss against Wyoming in the bowl game. This team went 11-3 with 2 losses by a combined 3 points.
Yeah.
Toledo Bowling Green first played in 1919.
So
their overall series 43-41-4.
So very
tight.
Wow.
Very
you
tight.
don't know about it, buddy. You just got to invest. That's a great rivalry. You talk to people from either school. They fucking hate each other. They hate each other. Yeah.
I am in the know now.
Anyway, you gotta love that schedule. Let's jump on over to the next team, NC Nick's Broncos. Where
Buckham Broncos.
I know Ohio's your favorite team. Is Western Michigan your second favorite team in the MAC?
Yeah, why not? I think I'll support my wife, who is a Bronco herself. Sure. I've been to a basketball game there. I've been to campus. In Kalamazoo,
been to Waldo's. I've been to
Waldo's. Also in Kalamazoo, Bell's Brewery, one of the best craft beer spots in the whole country.
Let's go. Kalamazoo, challenging Tallahassee is probably the coolest name for a college town in all of college sports.
It was in the Creedence Clearwater song too, which big fan.
Hell yeah,
gotta be a big fan of that.
No, I'm not a big fan of their first 2 weeks they put on the schedule. Although, am I crazy to think they could be live against Wisconsin?
A little bit, yes.
Georgia Southern shit the bed. They had that, and I'm like, Western Michigan. I was impressed with Lance Taylor's first year, man. I thought he was ahead of schedule.
At 4-8.
I just thought like they passed the eye test. They looked better than I thought they would be.
They had some players on that team.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right though. They're still going to lose in Madison.
Yeah,
and they're still going to get their ass whooped in Columbus the next week. But then Bethune-Cookman, remember when Ed Reed was a coach for 4 days?
Why is Bethune-Cookman coming up to Kalamazoo? Are they now? What state is Bethune in? Mississippi?
Florida. They're in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Right. Yeah.
Bethune, are they HBCU?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like, let's keep it going. Even though prime time's gone, let's keep that thing going.
Well, Ed Reed was only there 4 days. Then they have
to clean his office out.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Signed the contract, forgot to clean the shit. All right. Then they get a bye week 4, and then at Marshall, old MAC rivalry here.
There we go.
They're gonna get their ass whooped in Huntington, I think, personally. Back-to-back away, then they start conference play in Muncie, then home to Akron, then at Buffalo. You gotta love their first 4 opponents. Then home to Kent State. If they beat Ball State, they're going 4-0 in to start. They're going to be in the MAC championship. They're going to be in the fucking MAC championship. Because look, they get a bye week 10, then week 11, they're home to Northern Illinois, at Bowling Green, week 12, at Central Michigan. That's tough right there. That 2 stretch, but then home to Eastern Michigan. This team could be in the MAC championship this year. They could be in the MAC. That's worth. I know that the futures aren't out yet, but I actually think it's worth taking a sprinkle because that schedule is genius. There's no Ohio. There's no Miami, Ohio. There's no Toledo. I misjudged this. This should have been probably number 2 to me. I just think I saw Wisconsin and Ohio State and Marshall, and I go, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
I found this schedule very hard to rank because it is one of the toughest out of conference, if not the toughest. But it's probably the easiest in conference. But it has 3 sets of back-to-back aways. It's all over the place. But as far as just tossing aside out of conference games, they're in conference. They you could argue they could be a dark horse to
definitely
to get to the championship for sure.
Dude,
call me crazy.
Miami, Ohio. Go ahead, Cole. Sorry.
No, I think they'll be favored at Ball State. I really do. I think Western Michigan seems better coming into the year, right? I think it'll be favored against Akron. I think they'll be favored at Buffalo. I think they'll be favored against Kent State. I think they'll be favored against Northern Illinois. Now the 2-game stretch, but they could be favored by then. It's a really nice conference schedule
for sure.
Could be favored by then. What against Bowling Green?
Or Central Michigan? Because if McElwain could be fired by week 13.
And we're just not necessarily huge believers in Leffler.
Well, just the fact that if Western Michigan's sitting there at like 7-2 or 6-2, by that week they might be favored against Bowling Green. Yeah.
I do believe Hayden Wolf returns. I think he has one more
former
year.
Old Dominion quarterback. He can light it up. Yeah, they were a strange team last year because they really passed the eye test, but they didn't get a lot of wins. Like when I watched them, I was like, man, this team's better than I thought they're going to be horrible. Like they looked better than I thought they would be by a decent amount.
They had a really good freshman running back, Jalen Buckley, go over 1,000 yards. I think he's returned. I don't think he's transferred out. Somebody check that. And then they had a couple really good receivers too. So they had some players.
Yeah,
dude,
fascinating.
They I mean, the 4 best teams in the conference they avoid. Toledo went 8-0 in conference. Miami, Ohio went 7-1. Ohio went 6-2. Oh no, they do get Bowling Green and Northern Illinois, but still, those 3 teams are, I think, from a program standpoint, so far ahead of all the other teams. I mean, is there another team as a program that we think is in the same range as Miami, Ohio, or Toledo right now?
Maybe Northern Illinois. I mean, I don't. It's razor thin in the MAC, but like I just thought they were better than what I thought they would be. Now I know you still look back at the schedule and you say, I mean, this team lost 20-17 at Ohio. They almost, and to me, one of the games that really stood out to me was the Mississippi State game. Mississippi State turned it on late to get that. A pick 6, I think. They were in that game in Starkville. They were just impressive to me. I early on they sucked, but like late in the year, I thought they were more impressive than
Western
Michigan.
Thought they
would be.
Well, let me put it in a little more perspective. Overall records, 11-3, 10-3, and 11-3 for the 3 teams we previously mentioned, Miami, Ohio, and Toledo. The next best record overall in the conference, 7-6. So I think all those other teams on their schedule that they are playing are beatable, and the 3 teams that are really good, they avoid. So it could be a big step forward for Western Michigan.
Yeah. Nick, where'd you have this ranked?
I had it at 6th.
Okay.
But like I said, very hard to rank.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, that is all of our MAC schools. We have one team left, which is Notre Dame. But before I get to that, I want to tell you folks out there that the college basketball experience college football experience. Jesus, I've been recording too much. Is brought to you by Manscaped. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 this season. Make sure you groom your carpets and the old drapes, the leaders and below the waist grooming. Look, embrace the season and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Do that spring cleaning, shave your balls and ass. Go to manscaped.com, use that promo code SGPN for 10% off plus free shipping. And I have 4 of the 5 lawnmowers in this house. They send me them, but also I endorse the product. It's fantastic. This one has 2 different next gen skin safe blade heads, which they didn't have previously. And they got the classic to take a little off the top and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. It also has dual LED spotlights and it's waterproof. So check it out. Get on over to just, you get 20% off and they give you free shipping with the promo code SGPN at manscaped.com. So get on over to manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the promo code SGPN, manscaped.com. Nothing like a little spring cleaning in your pants. All right. And Moneyline Max, and make sure you hop into the college basketball experience after the show. Get on over there. Check it out. Here we go. The Fighting Irish. I'm your leprechaun. I mean, this schedule is such a crock of shit. It bothers me. It bothers me.
The first game's great, though.
It is. Riley Leonard against Mike Elko. He was the quarterback for Mike Elko at Duke the previous,
Duke should have beat Notre Dame last year if it wasn't for a 4th and 18, 19-yard run by Sam Hartman.
My God, I'm still mad about that. I'm still mad about that. Put pressure on the quarterback. Don't just drop everybody back. Come on, Elko. Dude, this schedule is easy.
There's only 8 P4s right off the bat.
There's only 4 road games. There's only 3 true road games.
Right. But I think almost every other major conference team has probably at least 9. Because even the SEC and ACC, who have 8 conference games, they at least have 1 P4 out of conference. So to only have 8 P4s, and some of these P4, I mean Virginia, Stanford, even though Stanford beat them last year, right?
And no back-to-back away. No, Stanford beat them 2 years ago. I think
2 years ago. You're
2
right.
years ago. But like at Texas A&M, and then week 3 you're at Purdue, so you get Northern Illinois between Texas A&M and Purdue. But then you don't play another true away game to week 14. Are you fucking kidding me? You go from September 14th to November 30th without playing an away game, a true away game.
At Georgia Tech. Well,
no,
that's not true.
That's at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Yeah. That's pathetic. That's fucking pathetic. and none of the committee will keep this in none of the committee will mention this when they look at the fucking schedule at the end of the year. Like they're a guarantee for the 12-team playoff. They're
if they go 10-2, they're probably in.
They're locked. They're locked.
No one is 9-3. This is like annoying to me though, dude. This is like no one pays attention to the fucking sport or they're all bought and paid for in the committee. Like this is pathetic.
There's still enough landmines on here though. So say they lose to A&M week 1.
There is not one other team in all of college football that goes from September 14th to November 30th without playing on a true road game. That's ridiculous.
2.5 months.
That's a whole fucking season. It's a whole fucking season.
Who was the one team that had four straight road games? Was that last week?
Yeah. Who was that?
What conference were we doing?
Sunbelt. It was like ULM, maybe.
Maybe I forget who. But in that stretch,
it was Georgia State. It was Georgia State.
Okay, in that stretch, they play more road games than Notre Dame does all year,
the entire season. Right.
I mean, honestly, like, how do you not? They should from the start. I don't care if you go undefeated. If you go undefeated, no matter what that you do in the season, you don't belong in the top 10 with this schedule to me.
Notre Dame, you're right, has been getting favorable everything from the NCAA for a long time. I remember they were 7-5 in the 90s and made the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, it's such bullshit. It's like this is just so. I mean,
yeah, it's an easy ass schedule. But can you paint me a picture where they go 9-3 and they don't make the playoffs? I mean, obviously Texas A&M,
because Lincoln Riley could be fired by week 14. They have a new athletic director, and
if they go 9-3 against this schedule, they should not make the playoffs. This is not a hard schedule.
They will, but they will.
Florida State,
and if Notre Dame makes the playoffs, that's one less from the Big 12 or the ACC, because the SEC is going to get theirs, and the Big 10 is going to get theirs.
Look, a lot of people ask me why I hate Notre Dame. This is an example. Like, what is this, man?
This is easy scheduling. Now, let's be honest, though. Louisville was pretty good last year. What's the deal with Plummer? Is he coming back?
No, he's gone. But Tyler Shuck comes in from Texas Tech. He's never made it through a whole year.
But Plummer wasn't very good anyway.
It's still, I don't give a shit if Louisville's great this year. Like, just the fact you only go through 3 college campuses, like other teams go through. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, just look at last year. Notre Dame lost 3 games. 2 of them were road games at Louisville, at Clemson.
This is just, it's fake. It's fake. Like,
now,
this
to Chris's point in the chat, Notre Dame doesn't play any FCS teams, though.
Okay, fair, but so does USC. Doesn't play any FCS teams. UCLA doesn't play any FCS teams. Texas doesn't play any FCS teams. Look, and I hate.
Neither did Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck is this, man?
Very favorable.
They don't even play Navy and Army. Like, I mean, not
now,
that
I'm going to give you a chance right now, Colby, to recant on something you had said previously. That the Notre Dame road trip to Texas A&M to start the season was almost a guaranteed loss for Notre Dame. Do you still think that's the case?
I got A&M winning that game. I think A&M's a better team right now.
Elko's first game.
Yes, but Elko, did you see what he did in his first year at Duke?
He's good. He's a great coach. I agree.
I mean,
he recruited most of those players at A&M, Pat.
Sure. I think there's probably an accelerated ramp up period for
Duke should have beat Notre Dame last year, and the talent that Elko has just inherited has to be so much better than the talent at Duke.
Yeah,
I mean, they were loading up recruiting classes like 3 or 4 years in a row, like top 10 in the country.
Where
Duke's
recording
class, Duke's class is probably
and Riley Leonard's injured. He just had surgery. That makes, and who knows Riley Leonard's strengths and weaknesses the best? Mike Elko.
It's true.
I
still think I actually lean Notre Dame to win that game in College Station. I think they're going to go down there and get a dub.
Well, we're going to get over to cut.com and make a wager because you are full of shit, buddy. I mean, did they play anybody who had more than 8 wins? I guess Florida State and Louisville, even though it was a phony 10 wins because it was the scheduling. Man, this
good.
is. No, but they wouldn't have gone. They wouldn't have went 10 wins. They almost lost to like the first 3 opponents, right?
They'd have probably been like an 8-3 team against
the
normal schedule. Yeah.
This schedule, I mean, folks, if you're listening on the audio side, it's at at Texas A&M week 1, home to Northern Illinois, at Purdue, home to Miami, Ohio, home to Louisville, bye week, home to Stanford, then at Georgia Tech, but not really. It's at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium where they'll actually probably have the crowd. Then home to Navy in East Rutherford, though. Then a bye week, then home to Florida State, then home to Virginia, then back to New York City, the Bronx to take on Army. And then they head on November 30th to LA to take on USC. You know what's hilarious is Lincoln Riley could be fired by then. That'll make it even easier.
Yeah. Christopher Moore in the chat says if Notre Dame beats Texas A&M week 1, they should be undefeated going into that USC game. If Lincoln Riley's gone, which I don't think he will be, but I still think Notre Dame might win that game. I think 11-1 or 12-0 is possible, if not likely, for Notre Dame.
I'm going to make a case. If you're 12-0, they shouldn't be in the top 10.
But they'll still be hosting a game.
It's the first time I think I'd ever say that. Because back when Ball State went 12-0, at least they played 6 fucking road games. Right?
Colby, have you seen an opening line for that A&M game?
I have not. It might be out there, though.
I bet you one's out.
It might be out there.
Because I'm looking at now, like, what game are they not favored in? Maybe A&M by a field goal in that first one.
Maybe.
But you know Notre Dame gets some of that love.
Yeah, they get the Dallas Cowboy treatment, man.
Here's a prediction. The November 20th Friday night, first ever 12-team playoff game will be at Notre Dame Stadium. The next
Notre Dame can't get in the first 4, so that's
they can't get in the first 4, so they're going to host the first round. I bet they make them the first game.
But this is rigged.
3 games on the 21st.
It's rigged. Like, the committee needs to look at this. How is this comparable to another team that makes the playoffs.
You think the committee gives a shit about
That's what I'm
fairness?
saying.
The
That's why
committee wants
people
to
need
put
to
in the
realize
biggest
that.
teams to make the most money.
But that's why, like the listener needs to realize that it's a sham, and that's why we need auto bids. This is ridiculous. This is. I'm sorry. Like I know. Yeah.
Well, Sankey's pulling the strings, and there are already auto bids in the NCAA tournament in basketball that he wants to do away with. So do you think he's going to let auto bids happen in the football tournament if they're not already in existence? No. This is a sham, but it is what we have, and it's a little better than what we had before.
And the ratings for a playoff game with Notre Dame up against whoever.
I do like the fact that they would have a home playoff game and it'll be cold as shit, like football weather. But it just seems like you're cheating.
Game on a Saturday night. They might save that one for Saturday.
Yeah, it's gonna be cheating though. This is cheating, in my opinion. This
Dude,
this schedule manipulation is cheating.
Yeah, but I mean, it's nothing new.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen just 3 away games.
That's pretty bad.
I don't think I've ever in all my years just seen 3 away games. And I'd say I think the bigger part of the 3 away games is you go from September 14th to November 30th without playing an away game. That's what? That's like 85 days.
Well, you know what?
You go 85 days without like your season's only about 90 days long.
I think this brings up a good question. Does the expanded playoffs entice teams or universities to schedule harder or easier?
Well, because Exhibit A would say.
Well, I mean, on one hand, you can schedule harder because you can afford to lose a game, but on the other hand, you can schedule lighter because you don't necessarily need to impress with a tough schedule anymore.
Well,
and it'd be easy for Notre Dame to win 10 games every year with this kind of schedule.
You know what throws the major monkey wrench in trying to gauge that is the fact that the Big Ten and SEC now have super loaded schedules where Texas is playing Georgia, Alabama, all these other teams. And so like you're going to have 9-3 resumes stacked up against the 12-0 Notre Dame schedule, and they're going to be pretty comparable. So I'll try and figure this shit out. It's
Do you
just
think a 9-3 SEC or Big Ten team would get in over a 10-2 Notre Dame team?
I don't think they would do that to Notre Dame, but I think a 7-5 team should get in over this fucking schedule.
But you're right. Record always has been more important than the strengths of the schedule.
Not last year, though.
The most obvious metric. Wait,
except for Florida State last year.
Well, Florida, yeah, that's true. That's true. That was a little bit of a precedent that had been broken among the Power 5 teams. So,
and why would the Big Ten or the SEC look out for Notre Dame?
Because they want to get them in there.
Yeah, courting them.
Says, the ACC, Clemson, Florida State want to leave. You want to come on in? Come on in. This is a joke.
I just think it'd be hilarious to have Notre Dame in the SEC. I think they have to go Big Ten, right?
They have to go Big Ten, but there's that animosity historically. But I guess who cares, right?
Right. A lot of money can squash that, right?
Yeah.
What's the game that they could lose that we're not seeing? It's got to be Louisville because they whooped their ass last year, right?
How about at Georgia Tech?
That's not at though. That's going to be.
It doesn't matter.
No, that matters to me because if it's at Bobby Dodd, it's possible. At the Dome.
You know what the game is? It's Stanford because Stanford gets them all the fucking time. Although Troy Taylor is not David Shaw, and so. I think
I give the guy a break though. They almost knocked off Washington. They had Washington at 4th and 5.
I think he's a good coach. Although I think what had gotten Stanford to usually beat Notre Dame is they play the same style of ball and maybe a little smarter version of it. I know that's a stereotypical thing to say, but you line up and you bang and then you just do it a little better than Notre Dame's doing it, and you end up getting the W in a close game. I don't know that Troy Taylor spreads the ball all around, so we got to see a little more from him before I can believe Stanford's going to be that team.
Georgia Tech with Haynes King, they ended the year pretty solid. I mean, they beat UCF in the bowl game. They only lost by 8 to Georgia. They were kind of in that Clemson game for a while. Beat UNC. I think Georgia Tech, if they overlook Georgia Tech potentially,
they could.
You know who needs to beat them? Miami, Ohio.
Let's go.
That would make the argument fucking hilarious because it's like you only had 3 road games and you lost to Miami, Ohio at home.
You might be done.
I don't know. I just think that's so depressing. Like looking into the season this year, I'm like, I know they're gonna keep Notre Dame will be preseason top 10, and they will never move them off. Like even if they lose to A&M, they'll move to like 11 or 12 or something. But they'll win the rest because there's no meat on the fucking bone.
Yeah, Virginia, Army. Sorry, as much as I like both those teams, they're not beating Notre Dame in South Bend or in the Bronx.
And at least if it was at Virginia, you'd say maybe. If it was at Army, you'd say not likely, but you never know. Crazy shit happens, but it's like at Stanford, maybe. No, all of them.
All of them at home. Navy in East Rutherford.
And Army in the Bronx at the fucking
Notre Dame
Stadium.
is going to the playoffs. That's the conclusion here.
Honestly, if you could find that bet, you want to bet that because even if they lose to A&M, even if they lose to A&M, there's no way they lose to A&M, Florida State, and USC. All 3, right? They're going to get one of them.
Yeah, you would have to think so.
I think Florida State is only the only team that might be better than them.
I don't even know.
Going to USC is tough,
man.
Huh?
Florida State lost a ton. I don't know if they'll be there. But
that's true, and the fact they get Florida State at home and then A&M and USC on the road, those are all pretty much equal odds. They'll probably lose one of those, but still, an 11-1 Notre Dame team's going. Even a 10-2 Notre Dame team's going.
Yeah, they're going. It's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous fucking schedule. I'm sorry, I can't do the fucking show anymore. College.
That's a good thing we're done.
Yeah, I don't even know how are the Notre Dame fans going to justify this. How are they going to
Notre Dame fans? They don't give a fuck.
Oh, we play a great schedule. We go out and we challenge ourselves. 3 away games. 3 fucking away games. Folks, give Patty C a follow on Twitter at PattyC831. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Don't forget College Basketball Experience coming up live. And yeah, let's go. We'll be back next week. We're actually going to preview week 1 of the 2024 college football schedule. We've gone through all the other conferences. You want to go back and listen to if it's the CUSA, that's your cup of tea, or the SEC, or what doesn't matter. Even the Pac-2, we have it out there. Go check it out. Also check out the College Basketball Experience, the College Baseball Experience. We even did a Frozen 4 podcast. We're getting into it. All right. FCS College Football Experience rolling along as well. Check it all out, folks. Subscribe to all of those feeds. Also get on over to YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. And remember also to go to iTunes and give us a 5-star review. Let's go. Until next time, folks, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
I lost a bet on the Super Bowl, so I had to dive in and crawl around through the snow. Don't believe me? Believe me, there's a video. We made it to promote March 5th and then we did the show. Before March, there was a winter to be lived through, and snow fell on the DC metropolis. In some other cities, this wouldn't be big news, but where I live, it felt like an apocalypse. Not the kind where zombies are the wrath of God, but the kind where Mother Nature doesn't laugh it off. I didn't laugh at all. I saw the sky smoking the blunt, now waiting for the ash to fall. Traffic stalled for a few weeks. Capitol Hill of snow taking up a parking space. A couple notches on the beltway ain't unique, but higher in freezes get more than your heart to race. I mean, the rats were frostbitten, they lost it, risking their lives just to make it to the office. Exhausting, caustic, cold front rose up through the mid-Atlantic and did its damage. Detective Bailey didn't expect a camera and brought a gun to a snowball fight. I know my rights in the season of mood swing. Some of us winning, some of us losing. That broken clock's been blinking since winter. I hope it's not telling me I was born to lose. I lost my temper, but I found my center. Winning winter, so I can stay warm with you. That broken clock's been blinking since winter. I hope it's not telling me I was born to lose. I lost my temper, but I found my center. Winning winter, so I can stay warm with you. So I can stay warm.